Well, another guy who's been around, who's played on so many good teams for Vietnam on various different big stages. This is definitely a team you have to keep your eye on.
Now let's take a look at Thailand teams. There's 5 Thailand teams and 3 teams have advanced from PUBG Thailand Series and 2 teams from PUBG Thailand Open. So Attack All Around finally won their championship in PTS.
It's pretty surprising that they had never actually won their region before, just qualifying for basically everything in terms of global competition. So, of course, this squad, you guys know them very well. Gems, Jayers, Glooms, Venatica, these guys, great. And then, of course, Daytrade as well, right behind them in second place. These two are always qualifying for everything. They've been really consistent the last couple years. So let's see if one of them can really break through and have a big performance at PCS6.
Yeah, and to add on for the Daytrade Gaming, Norins won the MVP for PUBG Thailand Series. He have recorded 1.7 kills and 330 damages per match in 60 matches.
Those are incredible numbers, no doubt about it.
And also I have to talk about this team made in Thailand, who's one of the oldest team in Thailand, back again in PCS.
Yeah, this team has been around since I can remember in PUBG Esports. I casted them back in the Africa TV PUBG League back in 2018. So, I mean, a lot of really good players on here, Tanawat, Escaliza, Jacob, known names in their region, but now we have substituted Duckmans with a new player, Rogue Nanzi Mai. He's a very exciting up-and-coming player who seems to be doing big things for Myth.
And there's 2 more teams who have advanced from the PUBG Thailand Open 2022 Phase 1. And first one is Theraton 5. This team is owned by the Thailand famous footballer called Theraton Boomathon. And this team have won the PUBG Thailand Open with huge point gap. They haven't played in PUBG Thailand Series, but they've won the PUBG Thailand Championship, which is a lower league. So we have to see how they could perform when they compete with other Thailand teams.
Yeah, this is an interesting team because you still have Rossida Jr. on this squad. He is another long-time PUBG Esports player, and he's got 3 new young and up-and-coming players with him, and they seem to be doing really, really good. The other team that qualified out of the PTO was Magic Esports. Magic has been in and out of the PCSs, so this is a team that, frankly, you're not going to have huge expectations for, but you never know in APAC.
The rest of Southeast Asia teams have competed in recent PUBG Challenger Rumble, and 2 Indonesian teams and 2 Philippine teams have advanced to the PCS6.
There's some teams we know, like Archangel Predator, for example. They should be favorites, potentially, to even win PCS6. Obviously PGC was disappointing for them, but last year they looked really, really good at the end of the year in general. Another team that you got to be watching out for is Team Extraordinaire. A really surprising team that are improving their overall play to fit the super point rule as well. So the other 2 teams coming out of here, Alter Ego, a lot of you guys are going to know their names, long-time, very talented players from Indonesia. And then, of course, NRX, a really interesting team coming out of the Philippines. Their results were mixed. There were no chicken dinners for them coming into this. So this is a team that needs to find the ability to get wins if they want to compete at PCS6.
The last 2 teams coming into PCS6 are from Oceania region. The Fury, which is known to be the strongest team in Oceania, had the roster split apart, and some of them moved to the North American scene, but inside the team leader has remained in this region and moved to Team Bliss, which won the OC qualifier. Yeah,
so Team Bliss has been around for a while now. They were oftentimes second place to Fury last year. So Insight, the great IGL for Fury and other teams, has really found his groove with these guys. They look really good. And then also you have Senjo, which is an interesting team, kind of the new up-and-comers, but they also have some veterans on there like Linksy. This is a guy who's bounced around between regions and now has found himself a home here and is back in PCS6.
So now it's time for Americas. Same as last year, 12 teams have advanced from the PCS6 regional playoff, and the last 4 tickets was decided by the last chance qualifiers. Let's look through the Latin American teams first. So Akrashe won the regional playoff in Latin America.
Yeah, they've looked really good all of a sudden. I mean, to be frank, I was starting to worry a bit about this team. It just didn't look good, and now all of a sudden, like, they're great, and this is really exciting for them. I really hope that this team can show us a good performance. Yeah, so coming in second place in the region was 22 Esports. I think a name on that team that people are going to know is Hazatin. He's been around in the PUBG esports scene for quite some time, so this Brazilian squad really looking good. Coming in next was Trogloditas, a team that I think has a lot of potential. Of course, you've got the Latin American legend Rusty Zera on there, as well as Necro AQN. So this is a team that is full of veteran, experienced players. Then came AKM. This is a pretty interesting team in that there's one player that has really had any kind of experience in PUBG esports. It's Ali RV. And then the rest of the team is relatively unknown. And then the same with the Yellow Jackets, a team of unknowns in their region who came through the open qualifiers to now qualify for PCS6 Americas.
The team that got the last ticket was Just Too Easy. Familiar name here, Ragnar.
Yeah, really excited, of course, to have him back. The personality that he brings is always a lot of fun to have.
And we have 10 North American teams here, 6 from the regional playoff and 4 from the last chance qualifier. Let's start with Yahoo, who won the regional playoff.
Yeah, I think Yahoo is definitely a team, of course, that you have to keep your eye on. I mean, Balefrost, Poonage, Shinboy, and of course Sparking, who has once again kind of risen to another level himself. He had the most kills during the qualifier. This team, certainly scary.
Yeah, I really like the team logo. The cute chicken. I wonder who drew it. And next is Bing Bang Boom. It's consisted of the old Space Station Gaming member.
I think this is a team full of a lot of really smart young players. Roth, Keenan as well, a former IGL Oldless, and then of course Sharpshot, a guy who at times has been arguably the best fragger in Americas. So really excited for these guys going forward.
And next coming up is Gaskins, Guadalajara Gaskins, always hard to pronounce it. This team has always performed well in the PCS Americas, and I heard that Waikakamukau has transferred to this team.
Yeah, absolutely. This is one of my favorite players. His name is really, really fun to say, of course, but joining Waikakamukau on the gas cans, of course, Nikos, Gregshot, and then their IGL Adam, who's also the brother of Coach Did, so from FaZe. So this is a really interesting team, a really smart team that has improved rapidly. You know, Waikakamukau said they struggled a little bit earlier. Now they look great.
And there's one more team that picked up the old Fury member, is E United, coming back to PUBG esports scenes in a long time. They picked up the old Oath members along with Flood, who showed aggressive and impressive plays in PGC 2021.
Yeah, I think this goes to show you why Fury was doing so well at PGC. They're a stacked roster with a lot of really good players. Oath as well had phenomenal results at the end of last year. I mean, they were constantly pushing the envelope at every event. So this is a team that you have to watch out for. They absolutely could pop off and win the event.
Yeah, I think if they have more time to play together, I think they can get much better.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of teams that have played together for a while, STK is also coming in here. Once again, the veterans, consistency. What else can you say about this team? They're amazing. They're just constantly getting it done, constantly placing top 5 at events. So, you know, another team you can never ever count out. And the last team to come through the qualifiers was 300, a team that's been pretty consistent, pretty fun to watch. Neferhorn Extreme on this team, 2 really good players from Australia. It's been a very consistent, very solid team for the last year.
So in North America, there was the surprising news that Sonics, aka PGI's champion, did not qualify in the regional playoff, but managed to get that last ticket in the last chance qualifier. What happened to Sonics?
Well, I mean, look, every team sometimes has, you know, bad days, bad weeks, whatever. You know, the Sonics, it has been a little bit rough and tumble for them since their PGIS win. Just doesn't seem like they're quite gelling again yet. They're quite on the same page. I mean, the rule format change again. A lot of these things could be coming into play, but certainly the Sonics are a force to be reckoned with.
I found out that Dressel is a sub-member of Sonics. What do you think about that?
Well, Dressel just can't stay out of PUBG Sports. I mean, how could you not, right? Like.
So maybe we can expect him play in PCS6 Americas?
Maybe. I mean, I'd always like to see Dressel play. He's a great bolter. I'm a big fan, but the Sonics have a really stacked roster. Moving on, there is also Dodge again. They're a really, really good team. Cherry, you know, he's always been a a competitor in the Americas region, a very strong one. Then up Nootropic, a pretty interesting team here with Hello Senpai and some others putting together one Lata as well from the former 300 squad. And last but not least, the Rumblers. I mean, they're a fun team to watch. They're great dudes. You know, Los, Waldo, Valiate, and Corsac this time coming in. I'm really excited for this team as always. They're going to be fun no matter what.
So today we were able to break down the 32 teams from 2 regions first in details because we divided into 2-2. So I hope the fans could also enjoy the full month of PCS6.
Yeah, I really like this format a lot. Now you can kind of focus on a couple regions at a time, and then, you know, eventually you'll get to see Asia and Europe. You just got to be a little bit more patient.
Yeah, Pick'em Challenge is also back for PCS6. This time, due to the changed format, PCS6 Americas and APAC Pick'em Challenge opened first in April 6th. So don't miss out the Pick'em Challenge. Support your team by purchasing the PCS6 exclusive items. And again, here's our pick. PCS6 APAC and Americas are kicking off in April 15th with 32 amazing teams performing.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really excited for, of course, our teams that we've seen all the time, but we've got a lot of new players, a lot of young talent up and coming, so you guys definitely want to check this out.
So don't miss out the PCS6 APAC and Americas, and we'll be back with the information about PCS6, Europe, and Asia after the qualifier is over, so don't miss that episode 2. We'll be back soon! And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Hello everyone! Welcome to the PUBG Hall of Fame. As a player dreaming to become the PGC champion, I'll give you a quick tour. Let's take a look around. As it contains the history of PUBG Esports, there is no better place to feel the atmosphere of PGC 2022, which will be held at the end of this year. Are you guys excited for the upcoming events? Over here, there's an empty space. That's for the PGC 2022 champions. But teams must prep for the upcoming PCS6, the first step in the road to PGC 2022. Let's take a closer look. APAC, Americas, Asia, and Europe. These are the 4 regions for PCS6 starting in April. From 2022, PCS will be held for 4 weeks. APAC and America kick off the first 2 weeks, and Asia and Europe take place in the following 2 weeks. We had 2 days of matches per week last year, but now we will have 3 consecutive match days each week so you can enjoy PCS6 even more. For 2022, PCS will be held under the Super Point rule, just like PGC 2021. In 2021 PCS event, there was a weekly winner with prize money every week, and the champion was determined by the total prize money at the end. From PCS6, the champion will be decided by total points from all 30 matches. Total prize pool is $1 million. This will be divided into the 4 regions, each having $250,000 as a regional prize pool. Prize money distribution differs from each region, so please check out PUBGEsports.com for further information. Our special prizes are back this year, consisting again of Kill Leader, Insane Squad, and All PCS Team. You can also support teams by adding on to the crowdfunding prize pool by purchasing PCS6 exclusive Pick'em Challenge items. As PCS events are a necessary step in the road to PGC, teams will not only be winning prize money, but also be receiving PGC points based on their performances in PCS events. And only the top 32 teams with the most PGC points will make it to PGC 2022. As we take our first major steps towards PGC 2022, who will come out ahead at PCS6? I'm so excited for this PCS, and I hope you are too. Don't miss out on PCS6, and we'll be back again for PCS7. See you then.
I know what you really want. Turn it up and do it die. Maybe we're in paradise. I'm feeling like a hero. Turn it up and do it die. Everything is on the line. I'm feeling like a hero. Turn it up and do it die. Maybe we're in paradise. I'm feeling like a hero. I'm feeling like a hero. I'm feeling like a hero.
Born ready.
Four months on since PGC 2021, we return for PUBG Esports in 2022. It's APAC for the PUBG Continental Series 6. It's great to be back, Jordan, and well, you're looking so excited.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, I always look excited. I know I've got an RBF, as they say. But look, I am quite keen because, yeah, it has been a little while since I've been able to do PUBG. Obviously, the same for you. And it's always a massive pleasure to be the first region to kick off the PCS calendar, as APAC does tend to be the first one off the ranks. So quite excited to see how things sort of play out here in APAC and then catch up with how things go, obviously, in Americas, and then obviously in the next couple of weeks, obviously what happens in Europe and Asia as well.
Yeah, APAC is a bit of a curtain raiser at times, isn't it? But if we go and have a look at the schedule, things have changed a little bit coming into PCS6. We are no longer the curtain raiser. We are now the main event alongside Americas for the first 2 weeks of this entire calendar block that we've got basically for the PUBG Continental Series 6 across all of the regions. Then Asia, Europe have their own spotlight.
Yeah, and I really like this, actually. I think last season, you know, it might have all been sort of meshed together a little bit. Sometimes maybe a bit hard to follow who was playing when and what was going on at any given time. Now it's pretty obvious. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you know you're going to have some PUBG to watch, and, you know, you get to sort of highlight APAC and Americas for the first couple of weeks, and then we can all focus on Asia and Europe as well. I think it just makes it a bit of an easier viewing experience across the board, and I like that. I think it's fantastic, and really looking forward to getting stuck into it.
Definitely agree. As we go and have a look at the format, things have also changed there as well. It's all about change coming into 2022, of course. The super in-game scoring, as it's now labeled, has returned as we had it for the PUBG Global Championship, so no more most chicken rule. And that does also mean we've got a new kind of format in terms of 5 matches a day rather than the 6.
Yeah, 6 matches a day. Obviously was nice in the sense that you got the even split between the 2 maps, but end of the day, you know, just a little bit of a longer format, and now we shrink it back down to 5, give the teams a little bit of an easier time on any given match day. Obviously makes it a bit easier for us as well, Xenox. We don't have to do 6 games, we only have to do 5. I like it. Today, at least we get to see more Erangel than Miramar, so as far as that's concerned, I'm a fan.
Yep, still Erangel and Miramar, of course, as the maps. Let's go and have a look at the prize pool, of course. Now, again, alongside just the monetary part, you've also got the special prizes that are returning. We had this introduced a couple of series ago. So Kill Leader, Insane Squad, all PCS team, all still with that sort of $20,000 total prize pool. There is the crowdfunding, of course, as well from the PCS6 items. And of course, the total prize pool, $230,000, is again the same as we had for last stage. The other part of it as well, Jordan, is PGC points up for grabs as well.
Yeah, and I think one thing that we actually also do need to discuss, maybe now is a good time, is Nations Cup, right? That's also a factor. You know, this doesn't have any correlation necessarily in terms of qualification or whatnot, at least as far as we know. In some regions, there's some things going on. But, you know, I think if you're a player playing right now in PCS6, you pretty much want to be putting your best foot forward to say, hey, pick me for the Nations Cup, and now's your best opportunity to do that. So while it's not directly a cash prize or a direct sort of qualification or whatever that may be, certainly still something that you have to factor in and think about.
Yeah, definitely on a personal level, right? And the aspirations you would have to go to such a grand event. It was amazing back in 2019, and I'm sure it will be once again here as well. I like the split as well when it does come to this prize pool, 80,000 per first. Obviously, we think back to PCS 5, and you had that kind of wacky little weekly series prize, right? Where it was like 17,000 for first in week 1, but then it kept escalating. So you had some teams that maybe started slow but finished strong, ended up with a pretty decent chunk towards the end. I think it was about 30,000 alone just for finishing first in week 3. Of course, now it's all about over the course of the entire event. That's where the money is really going to lie. So, look, it's going to be an amazing time. We've got 6 days just for, obviously, each region alone. It's going to be, what, 4 weeks overall? It's really nice to just have PUBG Esports back on the calendar.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I like the fact that it's gotten back to that super rule set. That consistency is going to be key. A little more so than maybe having a big week in week number 3. Either way, let's talk the participating teams today. Xenox, obviously, we've got a lot of good teams. We've got a lot of returning teams. We've got a lot of new teams as well. The big thing that I want to highlight here is that now we only have one team left that has competed in every single iteration of PCS. That is Daytrade Gaming. They've been here since Charity Showdown in, some way, shape, or form. And unfortunately, with the departure of Fury, they sort of lose their only compatriot in that respect. Buriram was the other one that had been playing every single PCS up to the point where they didn't qualify through to PCS5, and obviously they're not here for PCS6 either. So Daytrade Gaming, they sort of have themselves up on a bit of a pedestal right now, but plenty of other teams that are certainly quite exciting to look forward to watching.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. That I love that we kind of keep track of the teams that have continued to make every single PCS event. Obviously, as we continue on, when you go to 3, 4, 5, now 6, you are going to see teams drop out. PCS4, the only teams that had played everything up to that point was Fury, Daytrade, Buriram, of course. In 5, we saw Buriram drop out, and as everyone, well, maybe not aware actually, Fury disbanding, of course, will not be returning for PCS6. Now, in terms of PGC points, obviously a lot up for grabs, Jordan, here in terms of finishing at the higher end. I mean, 200 points for first. I don't want to say that alone is going to get you to PGC, but it puts you on a good path.
Yeah, and I actually think it's a good change as well. If I remember correctly, the first PCS we had last year qualified you directly through to PGC.
Yep.
That would have been PCS4, and I think that was where Buriram qualified from. And look, I don't want to say they didn't deserve it. That's not true at all. But I do think that there's a lot of time between the first PCS in the year and PGC, and I don't necessarily think there should be a direct qualification from that first into PGC. Obviously, give them a lot of points, make it easier for them if they have a decent performance in PCS7. In this instance, obviously, make it a fairly solid pathway, but don't give them a direct slot. I think that's fantastic. I think that's a good change in my opinion. But direct slot through from PCS7, that's obviously, really good as far as I'm concerned, right? You need to reward the team that wins PCS7 because that's the event that's right before PGC. So I'll take that. I'm happy with that. And obviously the team that wins PCS6, pretty good chance of qualifying through anyway, as long as they have a reasonable time in PCS7.
Well, and the other part of it as well that I like, and this is where it can get a bit tricky, because you want to reward the good teams, and maybe the teams that don't do as well, do they really deserve much? But I like the fact that even though you're down towards the bottom, you still get something. Prize pool, 4,000 for 14th, 15th, 16th, and you're still walking away with some PGC points. Now, 8-10 points, is that going to be enough in the end? I'm not so sure, but it's something, Jordan. It's better than nothing, and you combine that maybe with a higher tally going into PCS7, and you might be able to combine enough points to get into PGC. So you take that into account as well. I think it's really good that pretty much all of the teams have something to fight for, and that's that kind of ladder, right? Like we've seen it a lot, especially in the APAC region, teams fighting around that sort of midfield, bouncing from 12th even up to 5th sometimes, very little points separating them. I mean, for reference alone, 17 points for 12th, 5th is 64 points. And we've seen teams make big leaps pretty much towards the end, even on the final weekend. And I don't see why that's going to change, even with the super rule set. I mean, we've seen back in the older days, teams have gone on runs. They've gone on, 5-6 game runs where they've gone and got a whole lot of points and been able to climb themselves out of a hole. So there's the incentive there.
I do have a question for you before we jump into the game. I'd like to get your opinion on whether you think today and obviously PCS7 and maybe looking into the future is going to be a little bit tighter than some of the APAC tournaments that we've seen in the past. Because the way I look at it, right, you've got obviously Fury's not here anymore. They used to be a team that soaked up a lot of points.
Yep.
Buriram in the past used to be a team really that ran away with a lot of points. So I feel like now we're starting to see a couple of newer teams, a couple of newer players coming through. BN United even, right? I mean, I know we haven't really gone in depth in terms of talking about the teams. We'll do that when we get into the game. But BN United is a completely different looking roster as well. So a lot of these big names that we had in previous seasons of PCS are not necessarily competing, at least in the same iterations or at all here in PCS6. So does that mean The middle of the pack is a lot larger. There are no teams at the top of the pack that are just going to run away with things and really clean up all the points. And as a result of that, does that mean we're going to have a closer competition here in PCS6?
You would hope so. You would maybe in some ways expect it as well. I definitely know what you're getting at here. Is there that kind of clear favorite in APAC? And right now it's probably too hard to say. I mean, as I kind of said before, it's been 4 months since PGC, and a lot has changed since then, and a lot has changed as well since we saw PCS 5 as well. I mean, that was ages ago at this point, and so much has changed. A lot of the top teams have either disbanded or had roster changes, or not even, quite frankly, here. So it does make it difficult, but it makes it fun, makes it exciting, especially with the Super Point rule set, where if you have a really good week 1, you can actually maintain that pace then going into week 2 as well. So I think it's so important that, especially for this region in particular, where maybe there isn't that kind of clear-cut favorite at the #1 spot or the #2 spot, you get off to a good start, and that might be able to carry you all the way home going into the second week, where there's just not really that much time to necessarily catch up, in a sense where finding form and momentum can be difficult because you don't have 3 weeks now. It's only 2 weeks. Same amount of actual days, Jordan, of course, but it's all condensed. So if you have a bad Friday, you're taking that bad form into the Saturday, into the Sunday. You don't get a bit of a reset during the week. You don't get that week to go and look over the VODs as much. So, look, I think it's going to be exciting. I think there's going to be a couple of teams, obviously, we're still going to want to look at. I think one is probably Unicorn Phoenix and the dominance that they had in PCS 5. Can they replicate that, right? It was unfortunate that we weren't able to obviously see them go over to PGC. So I think that that's a team to kind of look at. And then you've got teams that have been around a while. APAC all around. Daytrade, are they going to finally be able to improve? Then you've got Cerberus. Are they going to be able to finally turn PCS into a bit of a playground? Because they do it locally, but they can never do it in PCS APAC.
Yeah, so many questions, I think, when it comes to a lot of these teams that we are going to get to answer over the course of today and probably this first weekend of competition. You know, you mentioned APAC all around. I think that's a team that, for me, I'm personally feeling quite positive towards. They came in at PCS 4. They had an 8th place there, and then PCS 5, they finished 5th. They started to slowly but surely look better and better, and they've obviously just most recently won the Thailand series. And I think now, you know, they've had a few seasons under their belt. They've had about a year of competition together as well. They did reasonably well at PGC in comparison to a lot of the other APAC teams as well. So for me, I'm definitely looking to APAC all around to maybe have a bit of a breakout season here in PCS6. I think now is kind of their time. And yeah, I mean, I guess it's also good to mention the likes of Daytrade and Cerberus, those teams that have been around the block for quite a long time. And, you know, I don't feel like I've ever really pushed the issue. You know, these are names that we've been speaking about almost since Charity Showdown, right? Cerberus, they missed PCS 4, but apart from that, they've been here every single season. And obviously, Daytrade has been here every single season. And yet, you know, best case for Cerberus has been a 5th place when they've played that many seasons. I want to be seeing a little bit more from them. I want to be seeing a bit more from Daytrade. I mean, look, I've got so many names that I could throw in the ring here, to be honest, Xenox. Why don't we just jump in and start breaking it down and seeing how it all goes?
Yeah, let's get into it for our first match of PCS 6. It's Erangel as we kickstart PUBG Esports for 2022. And yeah, so many names and so much to go over, and it does make it exciting because I don't even know, you know, there's generally, we've got underdogs, you've got favorites, you've got the midfield, and right now we just really don't have much of an idea as to really how it's all going to play out. You think back to PCS 5, you thought you had it all figured out, and then here come Unicorn Phoenix and they just blow the door open. So sometimes it can be a very difficult region to predict, the nature of APAC, where all players are cracked. And then there's also a team that I think we've gone a little under the radar when we're throwing out names, Archangel Predator. Obviously finishing second in PCS 5, made it to PGC. I think, you know, a team that can really challenge. Now the fact that maybe a couple of other teams have parted ways for them to reach the top.
And do you know why that is? It's just because they're at the bottom of my notepad, because they came through from SEA, and that's the region that I just had coincidentally at the bottom. Now, this is going to be interesting. We've already got a hot drop in Pachinki, and it is one of those teams you spoke about, and another, which has actually been a big talking point, even in some of those videos we saw from Paperthin. The Expendables, another very, very exciting team to watch, and we'll sort of see how things do end up playing on out here. There's just so much going on already. Even Rozok is a contest.
Yeah.
So who would have expected this?
Well, I mean, it's not ultimately that unsurprising when you consider this is going to be round number 1. This is like where everyone's finally going to get to see where everyone's kind of really dropping. I mean, yes, you've got the scrims, but this is where you contest, right? So now it's seeing, like, can we actually win this? Now it's for real. Scrims are over. One down Zest with a quick double. Great start for the new look of Baonam United. Of course, Zest previously part of this team, but a substitute, now part of the core roster.
Well, Clories is on the floor as well. So it is a 1-for-1 at the moment. Magic perhaps coming up a little worse for it. Actually, down to just the 2. Simon and Sapau are going to do a good job of clearing out their building, but I'd have to say, I don't know if either of these teams are particularly keen on this contest happening any further. So BN United, they want to make sure that they clean this one up comfortably, make a real statement, and hopefully they can get Clories up as well. Cheeksing is still lurking around. Clories in a spot of bother. Looks like he should be okay, though. I think BN United probably do clean Cheeksing up here in time.
Oh. Well, he just closes the door on that one. But that gets the down into Zest, fortunately swinging on by from behind. Simon able to finish it off. 4 early kills for Baodam United, and that's the main thing, Jordan. That needs to be touched on straight away. Kills equal points. Points matter.
That's right.
That's the beauty of it for Baodam United, straight to the top of the standings here. It's not about the wins no more. I mean, that is a good factor. You still want to be winning and getting those chicken dinners, but kills obviously going to have that importance again really put on them. So the Expendables here, an attack all around. Inside of Pachinki, Roof obviously going to be a priority. Get that high ground, really looking on down. Makes it difficult for those down below. But JS is able to compete here with Jun. Nate goes out, does a decent amount of damage considering how far away that actually was. So not a bad effort in the end. But the Tommy gun, it's not bad, but I don't know if you really want to be going for the all-out conflict with it.
Yeah, I mean, we've all been here, haven't we, right? On the roofs of Pachinki, trying to take a look and see where your opponents are and feeling a little bit awkward because there could be someone creeping around underneath you or someone in a cheeky window here or there that's got an angle on you. And you don't really feel too comfortable making a push anywhere in this part of the map. There's just so many angles you can play from. Attack all around. Obviously do have some degree of control of the roofs, and they're not really looking to get too aggressive just yet. Some info now given with that damage over to the Expendables, but you have to be very careful pushing in an area like this.
Well, the other factor as well, I mean, technically in terms of the circle, yes, it does invalid Pachinki. Phase 1, though, it doesn't really matter. They can actually really bite this one out because this is not just sort of like a one match kind of issue. This is probably for the entire event, right? You want to win this and then probably the next round and then the next round after that. And then suddenly it's like, okay, well, we've lost Pachinki. We've got to find somewhere else to go. So this is a really important fight here. JS gets taken down 777 with the UMP from a distance. Has the 6 times, and that helps, gets that knock. Nate back the other way onto Jun, does a decent amount of damage as Janko has been watching Duck here for a little while. Another nade.
Oh,
this one gets the down onto Jun.
That was a very nice nade from Glooms. Good toss. JS is going to be able to drop off the ledge as well, and Yanku will look for the res, I dare say. In the meanwhile, there are still shots ringing out across Pachinki. No one feeling comfortable with the scenario they've found themselves in. But I think it's a really good point that you make about this being not just about this game. It really is about PCS6 as a whole.
Yeah.
You know, we saw this exact same kind of contest in PGC 2021. There was 3 teams contesting Pachinki in those early rounds. And end of the day, you know, none of those 3 really walked away particularly happy with how things played out. So you need to be making sure you're really crossing your T's and dotting your I's and making sure that you're getting this one done as cleanly as possible to make that statement and force your opponents out of Pachinki.
Well, Daytrade, a team that's obviously had some talking time considering they've made every single PCS event, but Pujols goes down rather early. That's never ideal, of course. Now, a reminder for those, it's been a little while, but twitch.tv/PUBG Esports map, if you want to keep up to date with the map live as we are playing out here. Of course, it is down towards the southwest for this particular game of Erangel. No real issues there. Over towards Ferry Pier. Most of the teams already establishing themselves a rather early position as we continue to watch this attack all-around fight with the Expendables. Smoke goes out. I think you might have thought that was a nade for a split second. As 777 actually pushing, got the flash as well, forced him up onto the roof as well. Levi's has an angle, really, really well played by the Expendables to push him onto the roof. Levi's is then able to capitalize, and so far the Expendables are making pretty decent work here of attack all around, although they are also not going down too easily.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's been an exchange, hasn't it? Right? Attack all around did find a knock, but that's been res. The Expendables now have found their second knock. First one, of course, was picked back on up, and Glooms, I think he's going to be the key player right now for attack all around. Jay is also dropping, needs to find this frag, and he cannot quite do it. A little bit of damage coming through, but that's just not going to be quite enough for attack all around at this point in time, and the Expendables, they might be walking away with the win in this battle.
Still too early to say, though. I mean, I wouldn't be counting out attack all around should be able to get the double revive and keep fighting, but it does mean that the Expendables now have the high ground advantage. They're also getting into that consumable part of this little engagement that continues to just prolong. And the longer it does go on, the less consumables you will have to heal up for what has been obviously only a short time looting up the various buildings inside of Pachinki. Now, Jun is actually on the top floor of this building. Proceeds over to the stairs. We'll get an easy down onto Jayas. Can they get more? That is the question here. Gloom's in a precarious position. They at least get Jun, and 777 is knocked as well. Duck able to get rid of Glooms. Levi's and Duck, the only two standing for the Expendables. I think this one might be coming to a head. Nice knockdown onto Duck, though, by Janku, getting that trade after Gems was down. And I think it might just be a 1 versus 1. Janku and Levi's now play ring around the rosy to see who wins this battle of Pachinki. Janku can't land all of those shotgun shots, though. It's the Expendables, and they'll get the double revive onto 777 and Duck.
Well, they did stand to gain a little bit more out of that one because they do have the extra player to revive over what Attack All Around did. Obviously, we'll take a departure from Pachinki as we take a look around the rest of the map. We've been really caught up with all of those hot drops. We haven't been able to even talk about half of the other teams that are playing here in PCS6. Another interesting one, of course, Team Bliss. The first seed team coming through from Oceania. One might make the argument that they are now filling that role that Fury used to as the hopes of the region. We'll see what Senyo can do, obviously, as well. I'm quite excited to see what that team can put together. But, you know, this is the team with the experience. You've got Insight coming through from that previous Fury roster. Monty and Bryn, we've seen before in PCS as well, and they've added Mirage in too. So hopefully they're going to be able to have a good performance for all of the Fury fans that are going to sort of be cheering them on, as well as the rest of the Oceanic teams as well. So looking forward to sort of seeing what they can do, and I think that there is a reasonable shot, but you know, the big takeaway is that outside of Fury, the teams from Oceania, as a general rule, have not had amazing placements in PCS6. So I think there's a lot of stepping up to do for Team Bliss and Senyo now to sort of fill that void for the Oceanic contingent.
Speaking of stepping up, Zest has actually stepped over towards Pachinki to see if he can get a look in or maybe a free down or elimination onto the Expendables, the team that, of course, winning that battle against Attack All Around. And suddenly 40 seconds remaining for phase number 1. Teams continuing with their rotation. There is... is it Senyo or Senjo? I didn't even ask the boys, to be honest, but I did speak to Reb before and also Steel. It's been a long time for those players in particular to get to this position. Many years of grinding the lower leagues in the Oceanic region. So full credit to them to make their way to PCS6. Of course, Linksy, well, in some ways, should be a household name in the PUBG Esports community. He's done it pretty much everywhere. I think North America, Europe, and APAC now as well for Linksy. So it's, of course, he was on Astra Atletico a couple of many moons ago.
Yeah, in their sort of brief period in PCS, back in Charity Showdown in seasons 1 and 2. He was in that. I think at that time they were called Astra. I do not recall them playing under Ath in PCS, but maybe I'm wrong. Either way, that's the team we're talking about. And he did have that stint over in North America too. So yeah, really experienced player that I think is going to have to sort of help the lads out for Senjo as they, I think by comparison, don't quite have that level of experience. Still, some pretty good players coming through from the Oceanic region, and we'll see what they're going to be able to do. And perhaps even now, we'll get a bit of an insight as to what some of the teams from Thailand can offer for us, as Made in Thailand, another one of those household names, does return into PCS. We did have a bit of a discussion around that during the pre-show as well. I mean, I think they're a very exciting team to watch too. There's a lot of players that are returning. We've seen, you know, Esquilusia, Thanawat, Jacob, all in this Made in Thailand team previously, and Rogue being the newer addition, coming through from MS Chonburi, who played in PCS 5, replacing Duckmans. Mad Dog down early for Archangel Predator.
Wow.
And that is not good news for the team from the Philippines.
Yeah, certainly not. I'm not even going to begin to understand if that's Sully from Luxurious Esports, but a new team, nevertheless, making their way in terms of organization. First time in PCS APAC, but they are a team that you hope can do some good things because they've got some decent names. It might just be Sylphie, actually, having a look at your notepad. So I think it is indeed just Sylphie with a little 1. Smell, MBK, 74R1, of course, all names that have been here before, just under a new banner. Nade, just short of Algin bots. That was actually not that far away, and yet not really a whole lot of damage done. And it's Nam with the Molotov on the other side for Archangel Predator onto Smelt. They confirmed that elimination So that's at least 1 for 1 after losing Mad Dog pretty early on in this little engagement. But look at the minimap alone, Jordan, and the amount of teams already congested around this position. It's not really an area you want to be fighting in at the moment this early on. Phase 2, still with a minute 25 left.
Yeah, particularly not with the fact that there's still a few teams moving down from the north. You have BN United and the Expendables both coming down there as well. So there's going to be a lot of contests around this area of the map in a short space of time if they don't get a bit of a wriggle on. And I think Archangel Predator at least reasonably aware of that. They're trying to get themselves out of dodge, but I don't know, at this point, where are you going to end up heading? Because there's a lot of real estate that's already been taken. Most of the compounds around this area of the map have been occupied. Daytrade's in a good spot. Unicorn Phoenix in a pretty good spot. We'll have to wait and see where that next circle shift does end up going, whether it's going to favor any of those teams. But if it goes over the top of them, then, I mean, they're the ones to beat, probably already.
Yep. Well, Archangel Predator, of course, down to 3. They make the rotation to the south side of Quarry. There is a team already here, Cerberus. Welcome back to PCS, a team that has been here many, many times over. I think the only event they did miss was PCS4 last night. Well, has decent vision. As soon as he pops up, he has got them right in his sights. CJ did get the initial down onto Sololzi, so 1 for 1. But remembering, Archangel Predator had already lost 1, so it's now technically 2 standing for AAP against Cerberus, but they get a bit of help. Third party from Ranger X, able to get the down onto him and suddenly Cerberus meeting their demise. Thought they had the opportunity to maybe get the wipe onto Archangel Predator pulling up unexpectedly, but it's gone the other way, and Cerberus are wiped out rather convincingly. One little third party shot really helping out, but the rest of it from CJ and Nan.
Yeah, well, you can see that circle shift has come through as well. It's going to favor teams like Daytrade and Unicorn Phoenix, who've already locked themselves down in a couple of the compounds. Team Bliss did have a very interesting 2-2 split in Primorsk and Ferry Pier, but I dare say that'll be coming to a close pretty shortly as they'll look to consolidate their forces soon. Team Extraordinaire, another one of those teams that we haven't been able to discuss just yet, and I don't think we'll be able to, because we're going to jump over to Alter Ego, who are looking to lock down some of those rotates, firing a lot of shots off, but not too many connections against those teams that are going whizzing past. Made in Thailand, fulfilling much the same role over on the northeastern side of the map and trying to do a bit of a number to the Expendables, but ultimately not going to be able to land too much, and most of these rotates do go relatively according to plan.
And so far, the way this entire first game has been playing out, as we say, 74-1 get knocked out of the car by Flash, is pretty much to script, I think, for the APAC region, especially for match number 1, where teams are obviously getting a bit of a feeler outside of scrims, fighting for, position, fighting for drop locations, and just generally a whole lot of fighting. The other part of it as well is taking into account the super rule set too, so kills matter again. So if you are in that fighting situation, it's better to probably actually commit rather than trying to run away. If you get a full squad wipe, you get 4 kills, maybe you lose 1 player. That's generally not that bad these days. Of course, under Most Chicken, that's not ideal because your chances of winning then is pretty much slim. Kid X gets an easy down onto Sapao though. Pulls up in front of his sight lines. He's now inside of the blue, so this is all just looking for that extra point. Again, these things add up, Jordan. If you can get 1 extra kill, that's 1 extra point. They do matter.
We get the res here onto NBK. Doesn't really look like it's going to be a fun time, but they're going to give it a crack. Smokes are going to go down. There is a bit of a defilade to play with, keeping them reasonably safe at the moment from insight. So maybe they can get back up to the 3 here. Luxurious Esports. Another sort of interesting roster that has fairly recently been put together. I think they got comprised in February of this year, so a lot of very experienced players on that roster from the Vietnamese region.
Ooh, Trick. Not bad, gets a double onto Sapao and Simon. Unfortunately for Boundham, they've just been caught out here by a Trick inside of the blue. Kid X was trying to do something earlier in a similar fashion, and of course we saw him get at least 1 down. Glories, though, finished off by Algem Bots. Big point for Archangel Predator. So despite losing Mad Dog super early on in this game, Jordan, they've been able to go and get 5 kills. That's 5 points. Suddenly, they've also got a decent position towards the south side of Quarry. I'm expecting here for Phase 4. Of course, this is going to move away from the water, make its way up towards the more northern side of this particular circle. Does so. And Archangel Predator over towards the west. Not a bad spot, considering there's not that many teams that are really going to be engaging with them.
Yeah, certainly not a super busy side of the map at the moment, is it? But doesn't give you a lot of avenues to work in safely, especially when there's a team at your back that you're most likely going to have to deal with before you even look to play the rest of the game out. Alter Ego here at Quarry have a fair bit of cover to work with. And they're going to watch as one or two teams do try to go rotating past. But again, I mean, I guess at this point, for the vast majority of teams, it's about locking down positions rather than rotating in. The only one that really does have to move is Team Bliss, and that was Insight and Monty that was sort of out in Primrose. They didn't actually end up consolidating that 2-2 split earlier on, and now maybe they're going to be punished for it. Luxurious Esports is more or less completely cutting off their rotate. Monty's going to go forward and try to just lock down a position. And I guess now the rest of Team Bliss is going to have to rotate their way into basically where Monty is. I think they're going to have to try and breach Luxurious here and try to beat them to the punch and take this bowl that they've got.
In a bad little spot, of course, along this beach line, you do have these dips. Nade's going to fall short, but not short enough. Sylphie getting the down onto Monty, and yeah, it's not looking good at all for Team Bliss. Luxurious Esports playing this well, ultimately. The team from Vietnam, that one is, of course, short, but Monty bleeding out anyway will go down. Of course, important to get that finalized kill. Insight does get Sylphie, but immediately traded by MBK. Nade goes in, does get the down. Not a bad one from Mirage. Of course, if they're kind of all just huddled together, Nades are going to do so much, and Mirage with the vehicle blow up helping out. Mirage and Team Bliss wipe out Luxurious Esports. How the tables have turned.
Yeah, look, I think that's gone about as well as can be expected, to be honest, or hoped even. They lose the one player. Yes, it's unfortunate, but they do lock down another position deeper in the circle. Archangel Predator really stepping up now. And that is perhaps not looking so good, as Earth on 5 are down to just Ranger X, and he's not going to last too much longer after getting that knock onto Nan. Ooh. Archangel Predator up to 9 kills already. You mentioned they lost Mad Dog early on, but that really does not seem to have caused them any problems at all.
No, hasn't hindered them at all, and so far really making use of the kill to points, right? They got 9 of them now, so they get the revive. They've still got 3 players. This is the kind of, format that is really going to make these kind of teams find success. Archangel Predator, a team that's more than happy to just run around, frag out, get good position. They're also keeping that position, so they're not even really running around. They've been in this South Quarry position for quite a while. Now pushing over to Alter Ego. As we're coming towards the end of Phase 4, Daytrade have not really had to move from the compound on the beach. Up north, you've got quite a few teams as well, still in that position. Algebot from the roof with a bit of help. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 taken down by CJ18. Nades go back the other way. At least to just be a bit of a deterrence there from Alter Ego to stop this push from AAP.
Well, Alter Ego, they would have thought that they'd had the advantage in this fight, given that AAP was just down to the 3-man, but AAP are doing a great job of really just relinquishing control of this area of the map from Alter Ego. There's another knock, this time from Nan. And it just looks like this map control, this position, these flanks coming through from Archangel Predator are going to be a little bit too much to deal with for Alter Ego. Sure, they have smokes down for the moment, but Archangel Predator are really not missing a beat. They are just farming teams at the moment. We'll need to take a little bit of a step back and think about maybe what teams could be headed in their direction, because there is a Team Bliss lurking and looking for that third party, which could definitely be a problem for Archangel Predator if this fight goes poorly. Up to 10 kills as Nan secures 1 with an 8, gets a knock as well, and surely now Archangel Predator getting the better of Alter Ego are quite happy with their game, but they will need to get up pretty damn quickly. Team Bliss is lurking.
8 kills alone for Dan, 13 in total for Archangel Predator. Gets the knockdown onto Mirage as well, but Brennan was there. Gets the trade, so 1 for 1. But yeah, Archangel Predator quite wounded. And then Trick from Team Extraordinaire. They were also pushing in from the more northern side, so they come in and they are not going to be helping out Archangel Predator at all. CJ, last one alive now, gets the knockdown onto Trick. Dan is gone. It's Bryn that confirms the point for Team Bliss, pushes them up into the top 4. CJ gets another couple. 2 more kills to the table, 16 in total for Archangel Predator. Finally shut down by the native Bryn, but job done from AAP. What a massive start for PCS6. 16 kills, but only 1 placement point.
Yeah, look, the only thing I'm mad about with that from Archangel Predator is I picked Mad Dog in my team. So, unfortunately, I'm not getting too many fantasy points out of that
17 kills.
What a fantastic start for Archangel Predator. They're not going to go on and get the win. Doesn't really matter. When you're getting 18 points out of the first game, you're doing a phenomenal job and really throwing the gauntlet down to everyone else. Team Bliss, they're up to 7 points, but I don't know that they're going to be getting too many more than that. Bryn is obviously going to have to try and do it alone.
Well, this is the thing, though, right? Because Bryn can now play the old rank tank, the old snake in the grass. You go from 6 teams alive down to maybe 2 or 3, and suddenly you get a decent amount of placement points. So it's not a factor of we're sitting here saying, oh, Bryn, you know, he's not going to be able to win the game. Well, who cares about that? He could still get them up a couple of places by just staying alive, staying out of the way from everyone else. As a solo right now, it's actually not that bad. There's a whole lot of teams that are all, I mean, pretty much every other team is almost a full squad. In Thailand, Daytrade, etc., all have full players, so they're more concerned about still that positioning, the late game battles, and it's still only phase 5. I mean, we're only 22.5 minutes into this match. There's a bit of time here. Bryn's got some time to maneuver his way through the woods, find some positioning. Doesn't get a helping hand, though, with that circle, but we'll see how it does play out. The team that does get a helping hand, though, Jordan, Unicorn Phoenix, of course, they were the standout team in PCS5 APAC. We'll see if they can repeat here for PCS6. So far, quiet, a team that does like to frag out, but they've got position here for match number 1.
Yeah, this is not looking too crash hot for Day Traders. They do have to make a bit of an awkward rotation. Made in Thailand looking in their direction, but still shots coming across. Nuruns has been left back down in Ferry Pier to find that crossfire angle, provide a bit of cover for Flash to make his cross. And now with that, Daytrade can start to put the pressure back onto Made in Thailand. I mean, these two teams could well be the ones to walk away with the victory if they are the one to pick up the engagement here. You know, you clear out the entire southern side of the map if you do it cleanly.
Oh,
that's a massive nade!
Follow it! What a nade!
What is that?
Flash!
Well, that is how you win a team fight cleanly, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, over before it even began. It never began, really. It was over in a flash. Big nade for Daytrade, gets them up into second. And we are down to 5 teams remaining, Jordan.
We are indeed. In the blink of an eye, 5 teams remaining. NRX Esports haven't really been able to catch up too much with them just yet, but they seem to have put themselves in a pretty solid position here. Nam Xiao is down on the ground. They're trying to deal with Senyo, who, again, hasn't had that much camera time so far, but 4 players alive trying to work their way in. Pressure from the blue at their back in just a moment, but keeping themselves healthy. NRX do manage to get that res and put themselves back into the 4-on-4 here against Senyo.
Oh, here we go. Kang pulls up as well. 4-man for Senyo against NRX. Nam Zhao goes down. Kang getting the opening kill, although Suzu pushing up inside of the smoke with a shotgun in hand is a little bit precarious. On the other side of the wall, though, are those members, and it's Kang who gets another one. That Suzu down, shotgun gone out of his hands. But Maestro did get Kang immediately afterwards. Linksy down as well by Maestro. So NRX playing this pretty well, all things considered, inside of the compound. Steel, can he find anything? It's Reb that got the down onto Maestro suddenly. Senyo not that far away from finishing off this fight and maybe walking away with the squad win into the top 4.
Say that, but Unicorn Phoenix is starting to arrive into the discussion, and that's going to pretty much put it to bed. NRX, I believe, eliminated, and obviously Senyo eliminated as well. It was Senyo to go first, so NRX in 4th and Senyo in 5th, but Unicorn Phoenix now the only team that has 4 players left alive. Team Bliss will be giving Bryn a pat on the back after this one. He's managed to get them into a top 3 placement, which is pretty damn good considering.
Yeah, and that's basically what I said before, Jordan, right? You know, there were 6 teams alive when we saw the finish of that big battle out towards the west. So you think, okay, well, that's not ideal in terms of placement points. But such is the nature of the super point rule set now, we are able to have teams and players rank tanking again and snaking again and trying to get into top 3, top 4 situations. So big result for Bryn, big result for Team Bliss. They'll be happy with the start here for match number 1. And that's the biggest thing. As we kind of said in the pre-show discussion, starting well is so important. When, you know, you've got 3 days in a row that are back-to-back, 5 games each day, it's over before you even know it. So Unicorn Phoenix, though, the team that stood out massively in PCS5 versus Daytrade Gaming, the only team that has participated in every single PCS APAC event since we started this series, who can take out the first match of PCS6?
Well, I think we already know the answer to that, and it's actually Archangel Predator, right? I don't think anyone's going to actually get any more points than them. Well, I know what you're talking about, but I am just bringing up old memories, right? Remember, winner winner chicken dinner format, all those kills that Archangel Predator got would have been irrelevant.
Yeah.
But now, even if Unicorn Phoenix or Daytrade walk away with the win, are they going to get enough points to take over Archangel Predator? I'm not sure that they will. Unicorn Phoenix, though, that's not going to be a great start to the engagement. Chu just gets absolutely booked by Belmoth, and now Flash, he's found Shin V. All of a sudden, Unicorn Phoenix go from 4 to 2, and Daytrade, it might be their game to lose.
Yeah, and for Daytrade, a lot of this was just sitting in the compound on the beach for pretty much the better portion of this entire game. Then they finally push out, get a nade onto the team hiding behind the rock, easy 4 kills. Suddenly you push up north to the next kind of circle, and there's really not much going on because everyone else is kind of taking each other out. And now you find yourselves in a pretty easy, winnable situation. 2 players left standing for Unicorn Phoenix. Keep the pressure on, keep the foot on the pedal here. And yeah, Chu, Shinvi, both completely gone, bleed out. Norens gets rid of Chu. So it's 3 versus 2. Dat Blue as well, now caught inside of the Molotov, is forced to evacuate the building. 34 health, nade goes out, and they just need to surround and keep the pressure on.
Well, Dat Blue's actually going to be the difference maker here. If he can somehow find himself a pick or a knock, or maybe knock 2 as they try to take him out, and open up the opportunity for Hungbo Ditch to just play that long angle, play the one-on-one, the argument can be made that Unicorn Phoenix actually could get a little bit more of a beneficial circle here. They've got a little bit more of a central position. We'll see where this circle does end up shifting, but you'd have to imagine... Yeah, I mean, in most cases, it's going to favor Unicorn Phoenix in a sense.
Yeah.
So Daytrade actually have a bit of work to do. They need to dig out Dat Blue, and they need to do it without getting knocked by Hungbo Ditch. It's not going to be as easy as it looks.
Sure.
Because this angle is a pretty dirty one.
10 points for the win here, 6 points for second. So, I mean, winner does go above Archangel Predator from one of these 2 teams. It's so important for Dat Blue to get a double here, more than just even one. Norens has got that knock, though, immediately. And yeah, the flash was, of course, in effect. So now only Hungbo Ditch remains for Unicorn Phoenix. Not a bad game, though, from them. Of course, Jordan, they'll get 6 points here for this second place finish. So it'll put them on 15 points. They'll be happily sitting in 3rd place at the conclusion of match 1. For Daytrade, though, I mean, perfect start, right? Like, they didn't really have to do a whole lot in the middle portion of the game. They had that really nice nade from Flash as they get the final kill in the 3v1. It's Daytrade Gaming that take match 1 of PCS6 APAC. They go to the top of the standings after 1 game, but of course, we got 29 more, so we don't get too excited just yet, as you can see in the player cams.
Yeah, well, it's fitting, really, isn't it, that the team that's been around since Charity Showdown is the first team to pick up a win here in PCS6. It's a bit of a throwback. Overall, a fairly good game from Daytrade. I think, obviously, they deserve their praise, and so too do a couple of the other teams. But for me, the big winner out of that one, Archangel Predator, they just absolutely looked far and away the best team in the lobby. They were fragging so hard, and every time you see a team doing that, you think, well, what a threat that's going to be for everyone else.
I honestly, just sitting back, I think that was just such a treat. Such a wonderful game of PUBG to watch and almost just spectate. And from start to finish, you know, you had 2 hot drops on 2 major cities. From there, of course, most of the teams were still contesting along the way for positioning inside of the next circle. It had all of the aspects of basically game 1, match 1 of day 1, and the chaos that ensues from that, and then you sprinkle a little bit of APAC magic on top, and you kind of get that sort of game. But also some big plays, the nade from Flash, of course, getting the 4K nade, always important. A couple of really good flanks and a couple of good rotates. We saw Bryn with the solo rank play towards the end, and just some really good team fights that weren't over immediately. A lot of them extending because teams and players just positioning well. And honestly, I think this just further puts into question as to who's really going to be the team to lead this region. It's still too early to call. It's only 1 game, but there are a couple of good signs there. Daytrade, of course, a team that's been here so many times over. Unicorn from PCS5. So you've got some familiar names already starting strong.
Well, maybe, maybe you're right. I mean, maybe it is going to be the season of Daytrade, I guess. They have been sort of...
Oh, too early for that one, Jordan. Too early for that one, mate.
You know, well, actually, the way I was going to go with this was to say, like, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves, because it is, it's 1 good win from Daytrade, but they have definitely shown their inconsistencies when it's come to the APAC region. Obviously, they've domestically been very dominant, and they have been able to make it to every single APAC event, but you know, some of the results have been a little bit lackluster, right? They had a 14th in PCS3, a 12th in PCS5. So these are numbers that you'd want to be seeing improved. And they're obviously well on their way to doing that with a good game win there. But they need to be able to get that kind of result consistently over the next 6 days of competition. You know, lots of other things that you can sort of talk to about in that first game as well. The hot drops in particular for me are going to be a big one. You know, we're only a couple of minutes away from our next game starting. So I guess we should definitely touch on that. Rozok, a big one. and Pachinki, another big one.
Yep.
So there's a lot of things there to really think about. Player of that match, obviously Flash, had to be someone really from Daytrade. If it wasn't someone from Archangel Predator,
Does it
pretty
though?
decent stuff.
I feel like Nan was definitely
look,
on the podium there as well. I think he got 8 kills individually, so it would have been up there. But look, yeah, massive nade from Flash, and then of course Daytrade getting the win. I do agree, definitely deserved, and it really just speaks to sometimes having those big moments at the right time has the biggest of effects. It's one thing to get a nade kill maybe at the start of a game, for example. It's another one to wipe out a team in towards the late game when there's not that many teams left. The other thing to sort of touch on, and going back to sort of the conversation you maybe wanted to have a little bit with some of those hot drops, but attack all around, that's not the start that you'd like to see. Down the bottom there in 14th for a team that has so much experience, has been around in the PCS region for so long. It's only one game. It's not so much the fact that they lost, it's the fact that, you know, do you continue to fight for Pachinki? If you're continuing to lose to the Expendables, at some point you're going to have to leave, and that's never a good feeling.
Yeah, and I think it's quite an awkward situation for them because, you know, it's not as if the Expendables is like a new team or new players or, you know, some fresh guys that are just coming into PCS. Like, we've seen the vast majority of these players already playing in PCS. Expendables were here in PCS4, albeit with a bit of a different looking roster, but Levi's and NamC, they come through from that core. Jun from the former Divine Esports roster, even played on Gearbox. He's been here since PCS1, you know, so a lot of experience in that Expendables roster. It's not as if you can look at that and say, okay, as Archangel Predator, we are definitely the better team. I mean, if I had to put them in a power ranking, I probably would put Archangel Predator a little bit higher than the Expendables. But it's not as if it's such a foregone conclusion that you can say we deserve Pachinki and they don't. So at a certain point, yeah, maybe you do have to start thinking about swallowing your pride and saying, look, if it's not going our way, maybe we have to move somewhere else. They're not going to want to do that right now. They're not going to want to do that, especially on day one. One game, I think you can forget about and say, look, we're going to do it again. We're going to give it another crack. We're going to try and hot drop again because we want our location. We want Pachinki.
Yeah.
But if it gets to the end of today, if we go 3 games deep and attack all around, have the exact same result 3 times in a row, then you look at it and say, well, maybe coming back tomorrow, let's rethink our strategy or something like that, because you don't want to fall into that trap of just giving up points after points and, you know, ruining your own tournament and potentially even the Expendables tournament as well, just for the sake of fighting for that drop location. I think we're going to see more of it, but I don't know how long it should last.
Yeah, and that sort of ties into also the format as well. You can't just go and win one game and then suddenly get into the next thing that qualifies, you know, right? Like, you need to be getting points on a pretty consistent basis. I think, you know, in the past, Jordan, we used to have like a almost sort of calculation of points per game and the sort of rough number that was needed to get you into those kind of top positions. It's too difficult to sort of, you know, comprehend as to what that number would be now, but it was usually double digits. Like, generally it was a solid 10 points a game on average, if not 10, maybe around 8 or 9. So you need to be picking up decent points, again, on average. So like Daytrade get 19 from game 1, maybe they won't get 19 from game 2. So like, you maybe, if they get like 5, that's still a pretty decent average. So that's the way you kind of need to treat it. Each game is just so important, but more so at the start, because you're going to get to a point where, you know, the matter of the fact is you're going to get maybe to next week and you're going to have some teams that are clearly too far behind the 8 ball. You don't want to be one of those teams.
Yeah, what did you think about Magic Esports? Obviously going out in 16th place. Didn't really manage to get too much going. You know, they're a team that we've seen a little bit of. They played in PCS4, or at least Leons and Cheeksing did under Magic Esports back then. A couple of newer players coming into the mix as well. Petret and Einon new to PCS. So perhaps a team that still just needs to find their feet at this level of competition.
Well, they lost out in Roshawk. So, you know, you don't really get to make much of an assumption to the team when they go out that early on in what is essentially, you know, a hot drop battle. There's just too many different factors to really take into account there, which teams got better guns, positioning, loot, etc., a whole bunch of things. I think Cheeksing had a couple of decent plays as well with the shotgun towards the latter part of that little battle in Rossi. So, look, Magic Esports is a team that I think can definitely fight around that midfield position. They can have a couple of good games. I don't know if they can achieve that if they're like battling for Roshawk at some point.
Yeah.
They're also going to have to make that decision. Do we continue to fight or do we find somewhere else that we can go? Because I think they're a decent team. But what about this team? Archangel Predator, massive game, 17 kill points. Of course, went out with only the 1 replacement point, but who cares when you're getting that many kills? It's such a solid team. The other thing that's a massive factor, maybe we overlooked it a little bit, but it's the same core roster. When so many other teams have got so many different roster changes, and you've also got so many new teams that have not even participated in PCS before, you've got a team that's completely intact, that has the experience, that has been here before and done it all. This is a team that has expectations.
I mean, and let's just think about the fact that they've also got Evil Patrick up their sleeve if they do need to have that 5th player available. You know, this is one of those rosters that has, at times, kind of had a bit of a rotating core. At the moment, we've got Nan in. I know he's been listed as a sub at previous iterations, but I think definitely based on that performance, you put him in the core roster, you put him in the starting 4, and that's fantastic. I've always been a big fan of this team. I think, you know, they have been around the block for quite a while here in PCS, and they've always pretty much had consistent results. Their worst was 8th in PCS3, and that's, you know, again, not such a bad result considering the rest of the scores that they've got, you know, sitting around top 4 for the tournaments that they've actually participated in here. I will say they didn't do too well at PGC 2021, but they were playing with a sub, so I guess that makes life a little bit difficult. Either way, we do need to think about how things are going to play out in game number 2. Can Archangel Predator repeat their success? The same question can be asked for Daytrade. Will Attack All Around and Magic Esports find revenge on the hot drops, or do they move away? These are all questions that we get to answer now over the next half an hour, and we'll see how game 2 plays out.
Yeah, and I know I'm probably being a little bit of a broken record here, but I really do love the super rule set and what it does. Again, reiterating now, coming into this second game, you can't just sit back and be like, okay, we got our win, we can chill for a little bit. There's not as much pressure. No, the pressure's still there. If you're Daytrade, if you're Archangel Predator, and you fall out early on here in round 2, then round 3, then round 4, suddenly you're back in the middle of the pack. You know, you don't get that little reprieve of having that win already. So it's about keeping up the tempo. And the teams that are going to do the best are going to be the most consistent. They're going to be the best teams, and that's why I think it works out the most here. As Boundham United, Magic Esports, they'll go for round 2 over towards Rozhok. Didn't quite see the drop if we have the Pachinki battle as well, Jordan. I missed that. Let me know if we do. In fact, well, thank you to the cameraman. We do, in fact, have this drop as well. So we get a repeat of game 1
going
here.
on the
and
roof?
there's a punch on here for 777.
Gems has
and
the gun.
also the shotgun for Gems in hand. Gets the knock onto Duck, but the hands of 777 too good for Gems.
I can't believe what is going on right now. My fantasy points are absolutely taking a nosedive. Gems, I've got him in as well, so it's just no good. It's just no good. Anyway, we'll see what the Expendables can do about this. They did walk away with a victory in Pachinki earlier on in game 1, and they might be having the opportunity to do that once again here in game 2. Good start for them.
Well, look, I think for AAA, again, this is the kind of hot drop where you would generally just leave and re-queue and go again, right? Because you just didn't quite get the drop. You didn't get that gun. So, okay, fair enough. They had a 2v1 situation on the roof. At the end of the day, as Zast does get rid of Pedret. So, I mean, it's kind of shaping up to be similar results to what we had in Game 1. Boundham United, rather successful over Magic, and AAA losing out to the Expendables. So, again, if this happens, the same outcome as Cheekson goes down earlier this time to Glorious, at this point for Magic, you've got to give this up. 2 games and 2 rather convincing losses of Rozhok. Is it really even worth continuing to fight for? I'm not so sure. I think you've got to give this up now after round 2.
Yeah, I tend to agree, and I think also just given what would be considered the relative strength of these 2 teams, Magic Esports obviously coming through as the 5th seed from their region. You have a couple of new players as well that haven't played at this level of competition. You have to sort of respect the veterancy that Boundham United have got, even though they are a new look Boundham. You know, you got all these guys coming through with experience in PCS, and they're all really, really solid players. And you know, I think they're sort of showing exactly why they deserve that degree of respect here in Rozhok. And yeah, I would say I agree. I think if I was in the Magic Esports camp, I'd be thinking maybe it's time to move on. You know, maybe we give it a 3rd, but if it doesn't go too well on the 3rd, after our wrangle's done for tonight, you know, let's think about what we want to do for tomorrow. That's probably where I would sort of cut it off.
Yeah, and Glorious and Sapau, of course, they've been around here so many times. Game Home, Team #1, Division X. These are big, big team names in the past for PCS, APAC, and just Glorious and Sapau in general are just really, really talented players. Of course, Simon T back on the same roster with Zest from the sub. So it's still a really, really good team that is still largely intact with Simon T and Zest, just with 2 big additions as Leon's actually gets a freebie on to Simon. Well, this has not gone to plan. I just wonder if they've been a little overzealous here. can still get Zest back up, but Leon's just throwing a spanner in the works with that free elimination onto Simon.
Yeah, it's not looking quite as clean for BN United as what they would have hoped it would.
Oh, he could get
might
another
get
one.
a little bit more done. Oh, he thought about going out the window.
Well, he's got
2-on-1.
one last clip, though, with that Uzi. Has the S6 as well in hand, but loses out. And Gloria's not too happy with that performance from Leon's. Did take poor old Simon with him in the end. But look, in the end, you get 4 for 1. You take that. Nice shot from Glooms, though, on to Judd. Now, they lost gems early at the start, of course, got punched out on the top of the roof here inside of Pachinki. But you get a knock. What a shot back, though, from 777. Well, I'll tell you what, if Rozhok has been very one-sided, Pachinki continues to be back and forth between these two teams.
Yeah, I kind of like the fact that the Rozhok fight finishes just as the Pachinki fight seems to get going. It's good timing. It's really nice coordination from all 4 of those teams. Very impressive stuff that we get to catch all the action instead of it happening all at once. You can see that with that knock, though, the control of Pachinki that's been given over to the expendable 777, he has got a very cheeky angle right here. And I don't know that Attack All Around is going to be expecting him from behind like this.
Well, that is one thing. Yeah, that's one way to look at it. But also, 777 probably doesn't have a whole lot of information either because he clearly doesn't know where Janku is. I think he's more so waiting for Glooms to make this cross, and Glooms has made the cross. In fact, 777 was not looking at the time. So Glooms gets away. So now 777's in a position where he's been sitting here for a while, but because it's been a while, you lose that information that you once had. So now he's kind of playing blind a little bit. In fact, most of the players that are here in Pachinki don't have a whole lot of information to really go off of as of right now. So if you don't have that info, get on the roofs, get that roof control if you are fighting it out here. Now 777 does have info because Janku's made his way over.
Yeah, he hears him as well, for sure. So he knows that there's at least one player over here. The only thing that's going to have to be pretty important here for 777 is just not going down. If he goes down, he's super isolated. He gets finished. He's done.
Yep.
So he needs to be sure that he is going to be able to win that duel, whatever it is.
Just quickly as well, because we haven't really seen the map, but it is going to be towards Yazdaya Mansion region of the map. There's Jay is sitting inside of the bathroom, just pretty much
That's 12K.
waiting for his fate to be decided. Can he get one? That is always the question. And Janku goes down to 777. He does get one. He gets the down. Does he go for the flush? No. He gets a second one. He went for the flush, though. He could have held the angle. Greedy, but I don't hate it. He got the double. He did as much as he could. JS goes down, courtesy of Duck in the end. 2 standing, but revives aplenty. Jay is asking, hey, could you get revive for me as well? It's not going to be from Glooms, though. Glooms in a 1 versus 1 against 777. Goes towards the balcony bit. Doesn't quite get what he's looking for in terms of information. 777 with UMP up close. This could be deadly. This could be over. And it is for Attack All Around. Well, Janky does not get that revive in the end. And the Expendables, well, they get all 4 players moving on. They take Pachinki 2 rounds in a row.
Yep. Again, another bit of a statement thrown in the face of Attack All Around. And you have to be thinking similar kinds of thoughts as if you were Magic Esports in Rozhok now as Attack All Around. That's 2 from 2. And neither of them have looked particularly terrible for the Expendables. I mean, yes, I know the last one in Game 1 went down to a 1v1, but they did manage to have actually 3 players running out of Pachinki once that fight was over. So it's not like these are really, being too detrimental for the Expendables at the moment. And they're more than happy to continue to pick these points up for free. We'll take a look at the kill leaders after the first match. And as you mentioned, Nan definitely out in front for Archangel Predator. Even CJ able to put in some pretty hard yards. And our MVP from Game 1 was Flash.
The damage, though, from Flash is obviously a standout as well. I did maybe miss that a little bit when we saw the player of that game. 972 damage is quite significant, whereas Nan getting an extra 3 kills had 160 less damage. Of course, for Flash, the majority of those kills came from that 4-player nade, so a lot of the damage done immediately. And then, Maestro Trick for 3 each, kind of just rounding out the top 5. But no surprise, really, in terms of seeing both CJ and Nan at the top, considering how well both of them played for AAP. Mad Dog didn't really get to play in the first game, of course. He was just a spectator like us, watching on as his team went on that rampage, because he went down so early. I don't know how many kills they had before he did perish, but it was very early on. I mean, the vast majority of that rampage for for AAP was with only 3 players.
Speaking of Archangel Predator, they're on their way in. I'm quite interested to see how this circle shift actually does come through. Just taking a look at the minimap. A lot of the teams are sort of banking on it coming down, away from Starbar Hill, down towards Yasnaya and the Yasnaya Fields. That's where the vast majority of teams are located.
I'm loving these graphics though, and just how clean they are. And realistically, you're kind of just getting the point across. 19 points from the first game, a decent amount. Here's how they did it. It's just really clean. Love the green as well for APAC. 20 seconds until phase 1 is going to be coming to a close. So really, despite the 2 city battles, not a whole lot else going on. Insight doing its best flip impression. As always, is the driving from the Oceanic teams. Insight no different. He goes down to Haisaki. Unfortunate. Not the start that Team Bliss would be looking for here for match 2 after a pretty decent match number 1 to kick things off. That nade goes way too far, basically bounced on top of Insight, but he is going down here for good. So Blitz will be down to 3 players.
Indeed. Haisaki can't get it done with the grenade, but he will be able to get the points on the board in the end. You can see that circle shift goes through. Again, it sort of does look a little bit more south, and most of the teams are correct in their assumptions as to where to hole up. Although, now starting to see a bit of a shift in toward Yasnaya Polyana for a couple of those teams that are rotating in a bit later. Archangel Predator being one of those. I'd say Therathon 5 probably coming off the Starbar Hill will look in that direction as well. Unicorn Phoenix do have a 2-2 split. And we can see Cerberus rotating their way past Daytrade. A little bit of a love tap from each team, but no real connections being made there.
Yeah, and vastly different now from the first round, this one, right? Less of that sort of mid-round engagement that we saw in Phase 2, Phase 3 from Game 1. Gatka Fields at times, especially around that quarry region, can really bring that out. But there is so much space here towards Yazzie Fields. You've got, obviously, still north side of Prison. You've got Mansion. You've got quite a lot that is still available. Dips as well, and Bowls, as you can see. So not really going to be expecting a whole lot of action here for Phase 2. Not only that, but the other thing to take into account is that Match 1 is always not really going to be replicated as teams continue to play on and get comfortable with the other teams in the lobby, and you're outside of scrims and you start to feel that environment quite a lot more. It does slow down. The nature of the games do slow down early on. It's just a nature of it.
A little bit of a slower one here, which is nice. Archangel Predator probably not quite so happy about it because they really were reaping the benefits of a faster game in game number 1, but at least they got 4 players alive this time.
One thing I will say to add to this though, right, for Phase 2 especially, we aren't seeing too many teams go for massive splits. There's a couple of teams that are electing to take as much territory as they can. One of those being Team Bliss. You've got Bound Aim United as well out towards the west. Not the best position. Yazzie Field's quite open. It's not exactly prime real estate. But a lot of the teams that are relatively central are pretty much compact 4. So again, it's early days. You're still getting a feel for the lobby. Going for large 2-2 splits can sometimes be a little risky. And not only that, but if you've got decent compounds towards the center, you are just going to want to probably keep it as 4. It's not exactly too much real estate to be going for big splits this early on. But we are seeing a couple of like little 2-2 splits that are very, very close by to each other. Not even close to, say, the proximity of another team. So we're about, what, 35 seconds away from Phase 3. I would imagine in Phase 3, things will start to kick up a little bit. We've only had the 2 teams eliminated. Those, of course, being the Rozhawk and Pachinki Battles. The Magic Esports and AAA, which, not a good sign for AAA. Down the bottom after 2 games, and you're going to see, Archangel Predator and Daytrade and Bound Am and Bliss all start to, again, get more points and further that gap. Do they make that decision going into Game 3 to move away, or do they continue to fight? I think maybe they'll go 1 more just because it's the final Erangel game after this, but yeah, Phase 3 coming up now.
That would be my decision as well. I think you just give it 1 more here today and then rethink things for tomorrow if necessary. Very hard southern shift from the next circle, which is fair enough. Moving away from Yasnaya, I think to be expected. Most of the teams seem to be headed in their direction, hedging their bets in that direction. T5, Archangel Predator, Luxurious up towards the north. A little bit disappointed by how that one has played out, but overall, you know, not a particularly crazy circle shift, all things considered. The T5 make their way through Yasnaya. Maybe they're going to just hold up for a second here to do some scouting. The Expendables in the meanwhile looking for that dip just outside of Daytrade's compound. Be safe there for now. But how long will this location of safety last?
Yeah, and the other thing as well, when I look at Daytrade and their positioning, just around that shelter region, and you can kind of see them a little bit in that minimap, right? We saw them playing rather similar approach in game number 1, Southside holding compound on the beach, not really looking to engage, and even go for that kind of prime real estate too early on. You know, as we go back to Super, teams do change their strategies up in relation to that, right? So you can play that edge play again and look to sweep and look for kills, or try and stay out of the main action around phases 4 and 5, and then look to come in towards the late game, kind of like what Daytrade did in match number 1. So I am very curious here for Daytrade, a team that has been around obviously for a very long time. They've been in all of the PCS events, but they've never really been able to break into, say, like a top 5 position, 8th, 7th, and a lot of those being more so in the earlier PCS APAC events. Is this something that's really going to be the difference for them? A bit more strategy into their play and how they're going to approach these games, especially with a bit more of an opened up lobby to really come in and get a good couple of games under the belt. This would be the perfect start for them. Baonam also hugging that edge of circle. So a lot of the teams not necessarily going for center here. It is rather open area. So a lot of that circle and edge play is going to be a factor in this match.
Yeah, and obviously a lot of that is going to come down to where the circle shifts do come through. The last couple, I feel, have been reasonably predictable for the teams, but the next one, moving into phase 4, it sort of feels like it could go anywhere, and that's where it starts to get a little bit more interesting. Unicorn Phoenix, sort of, you know, again, a little bit more central than most teams, so they might be okay when it does come to that next circle shift, but they do have B and United very, very close by. Touching on Senyo for a second as well, coming down from the northern side of the map. Again, doing a decent job of getting 4 players into the mid-game, but how are they going to be able to convert their success? Last game, they got a decent amount of work done. They did manage to have a reasonable placing, but you want to be seeing some big stuff from these boys, obviously, to sort of kick off their PCS tournament run. First time for 3 of those members in a PCS event. So it'll be very nice to get that confidence under your belt early on day 1.
Okay, so Bunnings is where we're going to be heading. Well, it's not Bunnings anymore, right? Hall of Fame, whatever you want to call it. It's always going to be Bunnings for me.
I'll still call it Bunnings.
Yeah, it's always from the Oceanic region. Massive, of course, for made in Thailand in that sort of position. But you can kind of play outside of it rather well too. So not the end of the world for other teams, especially those on the northern side. I think we are going to really see the game kicking alive here for phase 4. There's just too much open space. At some point, teams are going to run out of areas that they can really send in terms of major positions. So it's going to mean they're going to have to force these fights a little bit more. 4 positions that they feel can get them into a good spot going into phase 5, phase 6. It's the other nature of it as well, is that there's less incentive probably to go for that all-important fight for what you would be maybe considering the prime position that could get you the win. Back in the old days, the most chicken rule, if you went for that kind of fight and you won it, you would actually maybe go on and get the win. You don't have to go for that fight anymore. So you can keep it a little bit more relaxed as we see Luxurious Esports towards the northern side. They've got Senjo. I've got it confirmed, Jordan, from Rebcrez himself. Senjo. And it's disappointing.
Want to send Joe to?
Yeah, I don't know. I would have preferred...
Who even is Joe?
Apparently it's Japanese.
All right. Had a feeling it might be. Look, anyway, we'll see what they can do, regardless of how you want to pronounce their name. Oh, Archangel Predator on 2 wheels for half a second there. But they're rotating down to the southern side of the map, so they've made a big rotate. They've made a big change in their positioning, going all the way from Yasnaya now down to the southern side of the circle. I'm not sure where they intend to come in. Maybe it's going to be a crash here onto Daytrade. It looks like that's where they're headed. CJ leading the front of the pack. They're all just pull up outside of the compound, around the walls, grenades flying in all directions. No picks as of yet. That's a good toss from Nurins. but it won't actually land.
Yeah, and Belmoth and Flash were not there. Belmoth quickly able to make his way back over and at least provide a little bit of that backup. They do get the early down, courtesy of Flash playing a bit of that anchor towards the south side, but he's in the blue now, so he does need to come join the fray. Already got that down onto Mad Dog. That's, of course, going to hinder this push now as well. As we can see the kill feed, goodbye to Senjo. They've really sent it almost out of the game here. Unfortunate for them up north to Extraordinaire, but Mad Dog is back up. But look at Flash coming around. We saw what he was able to do with the nade in game number 1. That one, though, well, he just doesn't have the information. Too many smokes now are up, but he can just use that M416 just as well. Get through to CJ and AAP. Lose one early. The swing as well, the push from Norins. Mad Dog holding that angle. You would have maybe penciled that one in, but no. Daytrade Gaming are here to play for PCS6, and they send Archangel out in 14th position.
Yeah, Daytrade is really looking like a force to be reckoned with. To be fair, a bit of a tough push for Archangel Predator to actually make that breach work out, but the fact that Daytrade keeps all 4 players alive, defend cleanly, is a really great sign. Team Extraordinaire, they seem to be in a bit of a spot of bother outside in the blue for the moment. They've got a few teams to deal with. Alter Ego is one of them, and it looks like they'll have that one wrapped up relatively shortly. Just the one Alter Ego player remaining, and that zone is ticking pretty hard at this point in the game. A couple of shots do go through, and in the end, will be Extraordinaire to pick up the fight win, but they've got a bit of a wriggle on to make. Theraton 5 and Cerberus now going head-to-head as well, tossing artillery in the direction of one another. Saki eats a grenade down to 17 HP, but Sololzi is the first to pick up an opening frag.
Yeah, so much pressure here on Theraton. So, of course, this not even inside of the circle now, this being phase 5. So this position is no longer really worth fighting for. But I don't sense that Theraton 5 is going to be able to just get out of here freely. Cerberus do have to be careful. Sololzi on 1 HP. Nice from Duckmine. Able to at least get that down and will finish it off onto Patho. So this is just looking like a disaster for Theraton 5. Only Excro is left remaining. 3 up still for Cerberus. A rather clean fight in the end. A lot of utility used. A lot of the nades, a lot of the smokes. But full credit, Cerberus get the job done against Theraton 5. They'll get the revival to Sololzi. They have that northern position. They can now push down south into the circle. And Senjo have finally been eliminated.
Oh.
Did well to stay alive for a while there.
He just absolutely booked Clories on that drive-by. He booked him.
Well, Boundham United
He was in the Carzenos.
have been booked out. To be fair, I was looking at the map feed for a split second. I missed that one, but I'm glad you got excited by that one.
Anything gets me excited when it comes to APAC.
I feel like drive-bys are just such a thing now that they're not as exciting since that change a while back, but early days, Jordan.
Look, I'll take it any day. I'll take it any day.
Mate. Cerberus will take it too. 6 kills, they push forward, and they're inside of the top 8 as well. So good start for Cerberus. You know, every single PCS event, we're eager to see them perform in the way that they do locally, and just never have been able to go to that next step here in PCS APAC. Maybe now is the time. It's a decent game thus far. 6 kills, getting some points on the board, 4 players alive. Let's see what they can make of it. As Unicorn Phoenix, you know, they were very aggressive in PCS 5. So far, I feel like they've been rather subdued.
Well, look, I mean, they didn't have a terrible start. They came second in the last game, so...
Well, if you think back to PCS 5, Jordan, I feel like they were fighting within the first 10 minutes every single game. They were constantly pushing fights and looking for kills that you almost feel like this would be the kind of format for them to bring that playstyle to. But look, maybe just warming up a little bit. They're still in third. They're having a really good start, so you really can't complain. Getting decent circle positions as well now, match 1 and match 2, as Trick finally goes down. Extraordinaire were part of that contingent of teams up towards the north for a little while. So he gets finished off as we have a look at the Phase 5 circle coming to a close here. 5 seconds until Phase 6. Where does this one go?
Well, you probably don't want to see it go over Made in Thailand, because that's going to make it difficult for the rest of the teams to play the game. It's gone hard north, and that's about as exciting as I think it could get. Maybe hard west would have also provided a pretty good finish. But it means both Daytrade and Made in Thailand can no longer take solace in their buildings, which is fantastic to see. Everyone's on an equal footing.
Thanawa gets knocked down by Pujils, and things just, again, calm down. Similar fashion as we had in match number 1. Around that sort of 6 teams, 20 alive, 23-minute mark, going into Phase 6. That final push towards these kind of positions. Made in Thailand, of course, now, you're coming out of this position, and Belmoth has an angle towards the backside. Esquilucia prone down below as well. Belmoth has not been able to see that. Now he might be able to spray the initial one, only landing one tag onto Rogue. Now pulls out the frag grenade, thrown over towards Esquilucia. Not a bad tag there either, but he got tagged up more on the tree. And now we're seeing the real send-in from Daytrade. Puchil's down the immediately. Now Norris is at the wall, but where's he throwing this nade?
Well, Made in Thailand still have a bit of work to do to actually clean up Daytrade. Noran's popping that mid. Can he maybe get a res onto Puchil's? That smoke down just to keep him safe for the moment. What a grenade that blew in from the sky. Sololzi and Duckmai had no idea what hit them. And Himas gets cleaned up. Cerberus. Oh, dearie me. We've seen some good grenades already tonight, and that is another one.
And that is that aggression from Unicorn Phoenix. Almost just more precise. A big nade as well from Jacob, by the way. Finishes off Daytrade, who were all just sort of huddled together. And I think basically on Death's Door, Made in Thailand, winning that fight rather comprehensively. But Unicorn Phoenix, maybe they're just playing a little bit smarter with their aggression, right? That sort of more controlled aggression, because at times in PCS5, they could fly off the handles a little bit and get a little overzealous, but so far, they're really just picking their fights well. It's been really impressive for a team that did so well in PCS5, deserved to go to PGC, of course couldn't. Hopefully, for their sake, they've been able to continue that form coming into PCS6, but so far, good signs for them. As we see Thanawat with a nice little angle onto 777. The Expendables, of course, they started this game off with a good win over Triple A. Can they finish this game off? Well, they lose 777 with a nice knockdown from Thanawat. Jake with a nail onto Nicel, and Made in Thailand pushing out are looking pretty decent here.
Yeah, NRX does get finished off, so that 1% pretty much correct. Might have even been 0% at that point, to be honest, but the algorithm pegs Unicorn Phoenix to win this one. I would have to say I'd maybe agree with it at this point. They've got 4 players up. They've got a large control of the circle. They've got the high ground as well. If the circle shift goes over the top of them, it'll almost guaranteed to be theirs, but if it shifts away, they'll have to work a little bit harder for it. See where that does end up going. 4 seconds to go before we do get that information coming through. Look, there's still, I think, at least the Defilade to play with for Unicorn Phoenix, and Hungbo Ditch has just spotted out Jun, so he's cleared out the southern side.
Oh, I think they're on here for a win.
Yeah, and Dat Blue's clearing out north, and I have to agree. I think definitely Unicorn Phoenix are looking to be the pick of the bunch, unless maybe a world where they get sandwiched between Expendables and Made in Thailand. But
yep. I think the positioning here as well is pretty decent, right? They're spread, but they've got each other's flanks watched, and they've got decent overwatch as well, still playing on the other side of the road with Dat Blue, Hungvo Ditch as well. So not really susceptible to sort of like nade spam, for example. We saw Jacob get a nice nade kill earlier. So and just really the numbers, of course, Made in Thailand only have 2 players. Expendables only have 2 players. It's going to come down to a bit of an information game. Once UMP really push over this Defilade, that's when they're going to have to really step up to the forefront. Right now, they've got the numbers, but they're going to have to use those numbers to really deal with Made in Thailand. So no nades for Jacob. Does have smokes, 1 Molotov, 2 first aid kits. So the fact that he doesn't have nades, not ideal, means he's going to have to hit these shots and hit them really early on and hope that it's enough to really deter Unicorn Phoenix for the majority of this game, or the final part of this game.
Ooh, that
nice
is
from
going to
Rogue.
cause a bit of a problem. Rogue's going to try to pick up the pace off the back of that. Chucks a molly in, but might have got the timing wrong. Chu missed the spray. Now he's in trouble, but answers well. Jacob goes down. Rogue goes down. Chu, I don't know how he's done that, but he's got the double in all sorts of problems, and he's actually managed to pull it off. The Expendables, though, they sense their opportunity. The music swells, Xenox, as now the push comes through. It's a 3-on-2 until that res is secured.
Oh,
but
they got the wrong way.
Phoenix, they might have the time.
Oh, no.
And they thought that where Made in Thailand was actually where Unicorn Phoenix was, and they're all
that's
wrong.
so unfortunate for the Expendables, yeah. As you were saying, they just didn't really know who's really come out on top there. They were so far back, right? They did not have the vision. All they had was basically the kill feed and the audio, and so they've just run over and like, well, which one is it? We see one smoke, we don't see anything else. They go for a bit of a gamble, didn't work out. Those nades would have probably been hard to actually land anyway with the Defilade. Probably would have just bounced or rolled away. But full credit to Unicorn Phoenix. They take out match number 2 in very good fashion. Controlled aggression. Didn't just run around aimlessly. They waited, bided their time, got good positioning, and then they sprung towards the late game. Really well played.
That is some killer looking hair as well from Shin V. Look at that. I don't know, Xenox, if you could pull that off.
I don't think so.
But I reckon I could give it a
I
good
reckon
crack.
you could. I reckon you could have that style. Look at that setup though for the team house. That is looking
Yeah, it looks
fancy.
good.
And that look, this is a team that performed very, very well in PCS 5. They've got potential to be a real standout here in PCS 6.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I mean, the only thing that really let them down, actually, in PCS 5 was the fact that the 2 weeks which they won were the 2 weeks that were worth less than the one that they didn't. Going into that third week, they looked like they would be a shoo-in, but the fact that it gave, astronomical amounts more prize money from week 3 compared to week 1 was kind of what brought them undone in the end. Overall, though, yeah, really, really exciting prospect, and that is a nice win on the board for them after a second place in game number 1. So you have to say they're probably the one that's going to be sitting at the top of the scoreboard after the first couple of games. Doing a really good job of things. With that said, though, obviously Daytrade, game 1 to game 2, looking pretty good as well. Very, very consistent performance in game 2 as well. So we had those questions at the start of the day. Would we have a team or a couple of teams that would sort of run away with a lot of the points and be the quote-unquote big dogs to fill the shoes of, the Furies and the Burirams of yesteryear? Maybe we've got our answer. Maybe it's Unicorn Phoenix and Daytrade, at least for day 1.
Well, the thing to remember, it's been a little while, but at times you can either have two situations, right? You're going to have teams really soaking up a lot of the points at the top, and it becomes, very top orientated, or you get that spread. And I think the majority of the time in APAC, we don't really see too much of a spread. In the past, it's all been your Burirams and your Furies, and other teams of the sort. So I wouldn't be too surprised if it plays out pretty similar, just with different names, right? Unicorn Phoenix or Daytrade, Made in Thailand, Team Bliss, Archangel Predator, those kind of teams. As you kind of actually rattle off a lot of those names, you do realize there's a lot of teams that are really in the mix in terms of that top spot, top 2, top 3, top 4, etc. So it's going to be very congested. It's going to be very difficult to get yourself into that top 4, top 5 position if you do not start well and if you are not consistent. And I'm looking at probably Attack all around. 2 games now they've contested Pachinki. 2 games they've lost out to the Expendables. Now, of course, we've got one more game on Erangel today, Jordan. I wouldn't put it past them to say, okay, let's get this one more go. And then at that point, not only are we done for the day in terms of Erangel, but then you probably can move away tomorrow.
Yep, 100%. I'm on board with that. I think, I'm prepared to give them that third game, even if it doesn't go too well without, rubbing their face in the dirt too much. Yep. We'll just give a quick shout out to the player of the match, that one being Chu. And I think, to be honest, he, he didn't have a lot of impact early on in the piece. You look at this, he's 400 damage, 4 kills. It doesn't feel like too much. But that double that he got onto Made in Thailand actually really did save Unicorn Phoenix, because the Expendables, they were looking for that third party. They were looking to fight. If Chu goes down there without finishing off Made in Thailand himself, that starts to look like a really bad position then for Unicorn Phoenix. So big points out of that one, 22 out of that last game, and that should put them quite squarely at the top of the scoreboard, Xenox. So overall, a good day so far for Unicorn Phoenix.
Yeah, definitely. Already you can even see just in that match alone, top heavy is sort of the nature of a lot of those points. When you're getting 22 points in a game, in just one game, 31 now over the first 2 games. I mean, that's an average of 15.5, which is astronomical. I mean, the kind of numbers you're probably not really going to be able to sustain over the course of the entire event. Although, in total fairness, we've seen in the past, if you've got a top team and maybe 2 top teams that are able to kind of keep just soaking up points, yeah, that maybe is the kind of number that we could see teams maintain for a little while. And you don't have to maintain it for the entire event, Jordan, just as long as you do it for a large portion of it. We're going to go to a short break. Of course, we've still got plenty of games to go for today. When we come back, Erangel still on the other side.
이거 다 죽었다. 아 진짜 미치겠다.
I know what you really want.
born ready.
Unicorn Phoenix leading the way here after 2 matches for PCS6 APAC. 31 points, only a 4-point lead, Jordan, but it's something. It's a good way to start. Of course, Daytrade still in second place, 27 points for them, and then it all just starts to slowly trickle down. But the most important thing is you do not want to be one of the teams down the bottom for much longer. Otherwise, it's going to be a long climb back up top.
Yeah, most certainly. I've just been having a quick look at the scoreboard during that break there, and I saw Attack All Around out in 15th, 2 rounds in a row. I saw Magic Esports out in 16th, 2 rounds in a row. And I'm starting to think, that's not looking too good. Both of them have only got 1 point on the board so far. They got 1 kill each over 2 games. It's not great at all. Like we were saying, though, I think you give them one more round here. You give it a crack into the 3rd game on Erangel and hope for the best. Hope you can change things up. Otherwise, it might be done and dusted.
Yeah, and look, even then, I think Attack all around probably the kind of team that maybe we'll just keep fighting until the end. But we'll see what happens, of course, as we see the total leaderboard now after 2 matches played. Top heavy, but it's been 2 matches, so you would expect it to be top heavy after 2. The question is, will it be top heavy after 12, for example? We'll see. But Unicorn 31 points, Daytrade 27, and then a tiny little gap already starting to form there, right? Those 2 have been the winners from match 1 and 2 and the best performing over the 2 games as well. So no real surprise with that. Not only that, but Unicorn, second in game 1 and Daytrade 5th in game 2 as well with 5 kills. So picking up points in both games. Even when they're not winning, they're still picking up points, and that's why they're on top at the moment. Made in Thailand, of course, with a big game 2, 3rd with 11 kills. So we are seeing already, Archangel Predator, they have 1 good game, then 1 bad game. That's what happens, Jordan. You got to be consistent.
Yep, you gotta be. And so far, there are a couple of teams that are doing that. Unicorn Phoenix, Daytrade, definitely worthy of that discussion. But one other team that I actually wanted to bring up before we go into Game 3 is NRX, this new team coming through from the Philippines that we haven't seen really in PCS thus far. 3 out of the 4 members are new to this level of competition. And a couple of 4th places in a row. They haven't been getting too many kills, so they've been flying under the radar a little bit. But if they are able to keep up that kind of pace and maybe pick it up in the fragging department, maybe some big things today from NRX, and of course Archangel Predator already off to a blinder. So Philippines region doing a fantastic job to start things off today. Here's Senjo on our screen right now. I mean, 10th place at the moment, 9 points, 6 kills. Yeah, some decent stuff in there. First game was probably a little bit better than the second game for them, but I think for the most part, it's probably about Senyo just finding their feet in PCS.
I think Lynxie needs to find a cleaner room. Maybe make your bed, clean up. Come on, mate, you're on camera.
I can't believe you're going to do him like that.
I think it was Nefahor once, a long time ago, was also quite similar. I think Lynxie and Nefahor teammates at one point too, so he must have picked it up from Nef. But no, look, I think this is a team that, when you look at this roster, Reb, still, they've been 2 grinders over the last, 3-4 years. I mean, how long have we been doing this now? And, you think back all the way to what was not even 1st division in the Oceanic region, right? So it was like 2nd, I think maybe even 3rd division. So they've absolutely continued to grind. Now, I'm going to be completely honest, Kang is new to me, so this is a player that's clearly popped up quite recently, so to be at this level already, and we did see Kang actually have a couple of decent eliminations in the first 2 games, speaks to the volume as to the talent. I think anytime you have new players coming in that haven't been around for a while, really good to see. So a mix of old and a mix of new for Senjo.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at his history on Wikipedia, it looks like he's been around since sort of mid 2021, maybe a little bit before that, obviously, but certainly not a whole lot on record. So that's, as you say, a pretty astronomical rise to go from barely playing any recognized tournaments within the Oceanic region to now be competing for Oceania in PCS6. It's a big jump up for him, and I'm sure for the Senjo lads as well. But of course, there are plenty of other teams to keep an eye on. And at the moment, all eyes are turned in the direction of Unicorn Phoenix and Daytrade. And then you're kind of maybe keeping Made in Thailand, Archangel Predator, the Expendables in the back of your mind. Team Bliss has been doing relatively well for themselves, and NRX as well. So those are another couple that you might consider, just watching out for in the kill feed. Nice playing path as we go from the northwestern side to the southeastern side. Every single team should be able to get to their drop spot No issues at all. And speaking of, there is going to be another contest, and Klooms, he's going to go straight back to that same building as he. That was where he got 2v1'd. Did he land on the roof? I don't think he did. No, he didn't. But it's Gems up there now, so goodness me. All the drop spots changing just in terms of the individuals, but there's still a contest.
Well, speaking of drop spots changing, Magic Esports have given up on Rozhok, so no real surprise with that one. Two very convincing losses as well to Boundham United. So over towards Watertown, bit of ruins as well for them. I think that's a smart play. Really keen to see them really now make their entry into PCS6 APAC because they've not been able to leave Rozhok in matches 1 and 2. So we'll see what they've got. The Expendables, well, 777 low early on. We'll need to find a first aid kit if they're going to be able to make it 3 from 3. If anyone's just there tuning in for the first time tonight, this is the third time we've had this Pachinki battle. So far, the Expendables winning the first 2. Not cleanly, Jordan. I mean, like, they've been able to get out with players alive, but they've been drawn-out engagements, these two teams.
Yeah, Gems. Really lucky to be alive at this point. There's a grenade here from Jayas that might do a bit of damage. Has gone in the top floor window and catches John. Another one doesn't quite land where he wanted it to, and he might have almost nearly killed himself with that, but he's going to be able to look for that flush. There is still a player defending the knock, though, and attack all around do just slow down for a moment, which is going to give Sean the opportunity to get rest, I would say. Doesn't look like that's occurring at the moment.
Who's going to open the door first? Someone's got to open the door for the other one to kind of push through and swing and try and find that kill. The Mutant probably up close, not ideal, but so far the Expendables maybe not as in control of Pachinki as they were in the first 2 games. If we think back to match 1, match 2, they had a lot more roof control. They were able to get a lot more damage onto attack all around, get earlier downs. I think it was Glooms that went down immediately in match 2, right? So it's a 4v3, so you've got the numbers. So for the first time tonight, attack all around, not in a bad spot. The question is, how do they want to play this? Do they consider maybe a stalemate? Do they just look to get a bit of loot and get out of here? Or are they really going to try and hunt down the Expendables?
I mean, surely at this point, you've got to be thinking about revenge. You've really got to be thinking about trying to force the issue onto the Expendables. They've caused you such a headache so far today. You want to do as much damage to them as you possibly can. This is the best opportunity that attack all around have had. It doesn't look like they're messing around at all. They're just going to try and continue to clear out these buildings. Janku will make the jump across to get deeper into enemy territory. Onto enemy territory might be a better turn of phrase.
Yeah, roof control established pretty well, and they combine onto Duck. So AAA are fully in control now as they got rid of Jun earlier. Now they get rid of Duck. It's only Levi's and 777. So in terms of keeping a tally on the Pachinki battle between Attack All Around and the Expendables, it'll be 2-1. Not a bad little scoreline. And if Attack All Around can get something from this game and then do well on Miramar, finish the night off strong, they'll feel more than comfortable and capable to come back here tomorrow and continue this battle with the Expendables. I don't expect the Expendables to give up on this too easily, Jordan. One loss is not going to be the end of the world. They did win match 1 and match 2 against AAA, so I don't think it's one and done for them. We'll be seeing a lot more of this tomorrow.
Yeah, this could well be a battle that actually rages across the entirety of PCS6. Neither of these teams really strike me as the kind of team that wants to give up control of this point of interest. You know, I think there could be a bit of a gentleman's agreement, though, that you know, one team loots one side of Pachinki, the other team loots the other side.
No.
Move on, you know. It's not going to happen. Look at this. Attack all around. They are, you know, working like ants together. Just roaming around, looking for the last remaining member of the Expendable. 777. He's going to knock Janku. Oh, a few of them lined up for him, but in the end, a good trade comes through from Glooms and crisis averted. Attack all around. This time they do it cleanly. That's 4 important points on the board. Jumps them straight up into 12th. And now we get to really get a sense of where attack all around is going to sit in this ecosystem, right? I said at the start of the day, I had high hopes for this team. They look like they've been on the up and up. They've been together for quite a while. They've had good results in PCS in the APAC region, but we didn't get the opportunity to see how they were going to play today at all just because they've gotten absolutely booked on these hot drops. But now, eyes turning towards attack all around.
Yeah, so 2-1 scoreline there, I guess, between those two teams. And the big thing for Attack All Around is all 4 players alive, plus all 4 eliminations. So let's see what they've got this game. And, well, looking at the previous game for Match 2, made in Thailand, Unicorn Phoenix making up the majority of the kill portion, top 5. 4-4-4-3-3, so no real clear standout. But in terms of damage for kill ratio, Hungvo Ditch for Unicorn Phoenix, the clear standout, only the 3 kills in comparison to the 4 of Chu, Thanawat, and Jacob, but has the most damage. So, you know, sometimes that 1 kill difference, but has the extra damage. Who's really kind of come out on top there? Pretty decent performance from both of those 2 teams, Unicorn Phoenix and Made in Thailand, as we head now basically into match 3. We've had our little curtain raiser of the Pachinki battle. We've got Attack All Around making their first entry into PCS6 APAC outside of Pachinki. We'll see how it plays out. Of course, Unicorn Phoenix so far a very dominant start in match 1 and match 2, taking home the win in match 2. 31 points now, 15 kill points, 16 placement points. A very, very good ratio, right? I mean, it's basically a 50 split between the 2 portions.
You like that? That means you're not, you know, doing too much fighting or not enough fighting. Seems to be just right at the moment for Unicorn Phoenix. And then the other split that we're going to have to start talking about is the split between points on Erangel versus points on Miramar. Is it going to lean one way or the other for a lot of these teams? You know, there's going to be a few that are certainly hoping that that shift over to Miramar in Game 4 is going to bring with it the winds of some change. Anyone that's probably sitting, you know, 9th or below.
And it's going to be
too happy.
It's going to be like 5 games of Miramar in a row as well, right? So in theory, after today, it goes 5-5-5 as the splits, because you're going to have the 2 Miramar games to end, but then the 3 to start tomorrow, and the 2 Erangel into the 3 Erangel. So it's going to be essentially 5 games of each map at a time. I like that though. I mean, because I think it allows for a bit more consistency on the map. You know, at times in the past, sometimes you end up only playing the 2 maps, or, you know, say of Miramar, and it's really hard to kind of really gel on it. So you almost have to look at each day and combine them a little bit. So you've got your first 2 Miramar games later on after this, but then you got Miramar tomorrow. So you can kind of look to bring the form you developed tonight into tomorrow on Miramar to start with.
Yeah, I think the players are probably going to prefer that as well. I recall in the past, you know, some conversations around. We used to have sometimes it would go like Erangel, Miramar, Erangel, Miramar, Erangel, Miramar for 6 games a day, and people didn't really like that because, you know, you couldn't really, you know, get in the zone maybe on each map. You just had to instantly then transfer back over to Miramar mode, then Erangel mode, whatever. So should be a good change.
Or even 2-2, right? We saw a little like 2 Erangel, 2 Miramar, then, you know, 1 Sandhawk, right? That was a long time ago now, like I think a good 3 years ago when Sandhawk got tried out, as Cheeksing has an opportunity to go for a freebie on the Glories, pulls out the SKS and says thank you very much. And Glories, unfortunately, gets caught out, and Baonam United are feeling the wrath of having pushed out Magic Esport from Rozhok. This is a bit of payback, right? We're around Ruins, Baonam are now on their territory.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, obviously that's a really positive change immediately for Magic Esport. They were completely getting wiped in Rozhok, but now they've at least got a fighting chance against BN United. Clory's out of the picture early on in the piece. BN United quite spread. They're going to have to regroup here in Ruins, and Magic Esport, they've got another point on the board, which doesn't sound like much, but they've doubled their points out of the first 2 games here in the third. So that's a bit more of a positive sign. Cheeksing may have to do a bit of driving lessons as he runs straight into a tree, but off we go. Get that rotate in as the zone starts to shift over toward Gatka. Luxurious Esports up on top of Everest. They will definitely be a team to keep an eye on, and they certainly will be keeping an eye on teams as well from up there. They're actually going to move off. They're going to move off early, so they must have the info that there is a compound that they want to take.
Well, shaping up maybe for a Southern Chopsticks hold here at these compounds, which for now, I mean, it's only phase 2, right? You can't really look too much into it, but it is rather safe. It's rather available, which is always one factor that you want to take into account. You don't have to fight for it. You don't generally want to be fighting over a compound in phase 2. So anything that's really open, decent position, able to even hide vehicles as a possibility. And well, speaking of Chopsticks, UMP actually going to the bowl on the Western Chopsticks, so they'll hold out here, and it's a really good spot for phase 2. because you're able to keep your cars out of a lot of the sight lines of other teams, you can keep them largely intact. And then, of course, Phase 3, Phase 4, if you need to, go up north or continue out towards the west, you can just continue to drive over. So it's a nice little position to hold up in. I'm not a big fan of the position for the late game when it's like Phase 5, 6, 7, just because it ends up being a bit of a tomb, right? Teams just throw nades in and nades upon nades, and you just kind of go down. As we see smoke grenades and frag grenades now thrown out. Linksy for Sanjo. This one's got some distance on it, and distance he's found, but Gems is going to get picked up by Glooms and taken out of the danger. Senjo won't go and commit too much more as Kid X gets rid of Cheating over towards Everest.
Well, it looks like Magic Esport have run into a bit of a taste of their own medicine kind of a situation now. Having one of their players just pushing up Everest, looking for info and getting taken down. As a result, they do opt to back away and try to move off of the hill, but they're going very much in the direction of BN United. Simon, he has heard this pull up, and he's going to be looking for Leons.
Oh, Simon. And now remember, they don't have Glories from that earlier engagement over towards Ruins, but now Magic Esport are also wounded, and they will be further wounded. Simon, spray with the M416, lands onto Leons. And this little Balnam United versus Magic Esports rivalry that is beginning to brew here for PCS6 APAC is, well, a bit of a nasty one for Magic. They are coming off second best once again, despite giving up that Rozhok position, Jordan. Outside of it, they're still losing out, and it's only one non that's left.
Yeah, not sure that he's going to have a fun time here. We've seen some good ratting already today. Bryn in the first game, he was able to just sort of snake away up to a third place. But this is a little bit too early on in the piece to be having any illusions of grandeur for Iron, unfortunately. And the fact that he's driving through the Gatka field with so many teams looking in his direction doesn't seem like a good sign. There's a headshot through. Somehow he's still alive. Somehow the vehicle is still alive as well. I'm actually a bit at a loss as to how he's managed to make that rotate as comfortably as he has. Looks like he'll pull up okay, but I'm not sure the same can be said for Gems. The nade will finish him. So Alter Ego have another point.
Time to see where we're going to be heading. Of course, north, south, chopsticks. Well, it is indeed going to be the major center point of Gatka. That's a big win for the likes of Cerberus. Of course, Unicorn Phoenix holding the top of that western chopstick inside of the bowl. They'll be fine for now, but again, late game, they can become a bit of a target for nades. So we'll see if they want to just continue to hold that position or look for a little bit of a maneuver. I think they're going to have to just hold it, though, in all fairness, as Noran's getting the revival to Belmoth. So Phase 3, we get a bit more of an idea as to where we are heading. Of course, in terms of compounds around this area of Gatka, it's largely limited for the most part. Of course, rather open areas. So going to be seeing a lot of prone play. A lot of bowls and dips are going to have to be utilized as Magic Esport finally do go out, unfortunately for them. One non gets taken down by Rossiter Jr.
Tap, tap, tap for Monty. Team Bliss, they haven't been getting much camera time, but they are in 6th place. And Monty's certainly an exciting prospect. Has a couple of seasons of experience under his belt now. One of those really, really good players coming through from the Oceanic region. The United maybe falling at the hands of Team Extraordinaire as Zest will drop to Kid X. Molotov's going to land right on top of him, so that'll be a quick and easy flush. Grenade was attempted, but doesn't look like it's going to do too much. So Pao and Simon, it looks like they're all in. They don't seem to be wanting to escape here at all. They're just going to try and commit, try and take a couple of points away from Extraordinaire.
What?
But not an easy task. High ground control for Extraordinaire is just too good.
Anything that Balnam can get from here, just even like maybe 1 or 2 more kills, is going to go a long way. Just keep getting the points sort of ticking over for Balnam United and this newly constructed roster. Simon with a bit of anchor position, actually providing decent overwatch, gets the knockdown of the nil. Can convert that, though, and then get a bit more help from Sabao. Hello! AAP have just gone straight into Jayas. They've gone for a bit of a crash. Now, Glooms has died in the process. Not ideal. Mad Dog getting that one with a frag connect. And now they've lost Janku. So, for a brief moment, it looked like AAA had found some success with a couple of kills onto Archangel Predator, but they, too, are wounded from this battle. And Sabao now also cleans up. And Balnam United do walk away with that extra 2 kills or so. So, that adds up for them points-wise, Jordan.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how that's all played out. Well, hold the press. Let's not get too deep into that discussion because there is yet another breach in occurrence at the moment. CJ and Algen bots trying to defend their compound against Alter Ego. Some good nades put in by CJ, who, if he jumped out the window, might actually be able to do a lot of damage, but it doesn't look like he's going to be so bold as to do that. Has he got another nade in the back pocket? I don't think so. That res will be secured, so job gets a bit harder now for Archangel Predator.
Yeah, and only as the duo, right, for CJ and Elgin bots, it's not going to be easy from this position. It's only just now phase 4 as we get this circle shift, and it's over to NRX. They get a big feed. Daytrade as well can cop that one, so they'll be happy. Both teams will be. But for all these teams sort of around Chopstick, this now becomes a bit of a perilous journey out towards the western side. We'll probably see a lot of rotations towards the more northern side of the circle and the south side looking to make their way out west. CJ down already to 1, 2, 3, 4. And just like that, he is now eliminated. And for Archangel Predator, we've got another push already. Another crash as well. Exo outside, Nate is absolutely lobbed over and actually got him off the backboard onto 7-4-1 and Ross at 2. Big nades from Deraton 5. They pushed in and they are getting the job done.
Yeah, that was exactly the turn of phrase I was going to use. Off the backboard, here comes Smell for Luxurious Esports. He gets a double before being traded down. Archangel Predator eliminated in the meanwhile, 2 by the way. Luxurious will go out just after them in 13th. Wow. Goodness me. This round is really picking the pace up a little bit compared to game number 2.
Yeah, a large portion for that, of course, the circle location. There's not a whole lot of real estate, and the real estate that is there, you're going to want to actually fight over. So, you know, they consider the old yellows up north here of this Gatka Fields position is a pretty decent spot, still inside of the circle. You can then push down from it anyway, so not a bad one there for Theraton 5, and that nade, wow, lobbed and went high up and almost touched the sky before coming down off the backboard. We see Monty out towards the very far western side of the circle. Team Bliss do have 4 players intact, so he's kind of just the solo over there at the moment, lingering close by to Sapao, probably just scouting out, trying to see what he can find, maybe checking if these buildings are available or not. Minute 15, so still time, as Sapao, the solo for Baodam United, wants to obviously defend this position for as long as possible, as How makes his way in for Extraordinaire.
Yeah, he's just going to try and, again, be a snake in the grass. Get as many placement points as possible. Jay is doing the same. I mean, a few teams down to just one individual. It's quite a discrepancy between them, isn't it, right? It's either you've got 1 player left or you've got 4 players left. It's quite a strange game the way this one is playing out. Alter Ego. Perhaps going to run into Jay as in just a moment. There goes How. One of the solos out of the...
Yeah, and 11 teams now, so getting closer to that 20-minute mark. I think in the first 2 games, it was more around 6 teams. So we're probably at around the 22-minute mark. So you're almost estimating half the lobby to be wiped out inside of the next 3 minutes based off match 1 and match 2. And based off this circle, I think, as well. As Lynxy with a nice little peek gets rid of Duckmite. Cerberus, again, have not really been able to get going just yet so far for day 1. And they're finding themselves in the bottom 4 already pretty early on in the piece. And that circle for phase 5 right onto NRX. Shin V with a massive nade to get rid of Alter Ego. They too have also gotten off to a little bit of a slow start for these guys. Unfortunately, in the bottom 3 after 3 matches, but plenty of games to keep fighting back.
Well, I did mention NRX at the start of this game, and it seems like they might be able to put another solid one under their belt. Jury's out as to whether or not they can grab a win, but with that kind of a position, it looks pretty good as long as they can deal with any teams that opt to crash in their direction. Team Bliss making that rotate out to the western side of the map. We'll have to be aware of Theraton 5 and Sapao here from Baonam United as well.
Yeah, and Team Bliss have not been able to clear out this Sapao position just yet. He's still in there. He's still in that position just to the south of them. They got eyes on, obviously, team rotating by. Now, this is never a good sign. No. Never ends well. I don't think I've ever seen 4 players get inside of a Dacia and come out the other side in a winning position. The nade thrown out to the field. Oh, Hisaki Senjo have been sent out of the lobby. What a nade. It never pays to send the clown car. Maybe they didn't have too much of an option, but still, what a nade from Haisaki.
That was
is
unbelievable.
a monumental moment.
Yeah, well, don't get too slowed down just yet, Xenos, because Unicorn Phoenix, they're trying to breach onto NRX, and Made in Thailand on the top side of the screen, you can see they're on their way as well. This game really is not slowing down. Here comes Tanawa, Esquilusia, and Rogue, and they lock themselves inside the buildings. NRX can't do too much about it. Nicel might have a bit of a problem arriving, a 1-for-1, but that is no good for him at all. He is stuck in a building with a couple of opponents. Rogue, oh, is he going to go down to the molly? A sliver of HP,
Wow.
He survives. And that will mean Esquilusia should get picked up as well. The exchange over on the western side of the map is picking up too. That smoke, keeping Team Bliss safe for the moment. But Theraton 5, they look like they want to clear this side of the map out as well.
Yeah, and just that main compound as well here for Gatka, you can very much host 3-4 teams in it. So just because you're seeing so many player tags over there doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be engaging frequently, especially over the next few minutes. So you can very much just sit comfortably there. Nade on top of Monty, literally on his head, and only takes about half health. He'll be able to heal himself up. Now, Bliss were taking shots against Theraton 5 earlier as well as they were rotating, so this has been a bit of an ongoing engagement out towards the west at some point that we'll need to finalize. There is our star man, of course, that big nade earlier, Haisaki for Cerberus, and they are now out of the bottom 4 into the top 7. How quick things can change with this wonderful point rule set. So Cerberus finally getting some good fortune to go their way, jumping into the top portion. Can they move over to this main compound, which I imagine for Phase 6 will once again get the circle shift, and it mostly does, as we see Insight knocked down by Patho.
Yeah, Monty also getting knocked, and it's now down to just Bryn, I believe. Sapao chooses his time to strike quite wisely, and he'll finish off Monty. 5 on the board for Baonam United, and Bliss out in 8th. Patompong picking up a couple of the kill points for his squad. Daytrade hears all of these shots, but do they know Sapao is this close? They would have heard him fire. Certainly do seem to have a suspicion that there's someone in the building. The Molotov does get tossed in. So, Pau, how much more can he actually garner for his squad?
Well, it's not about how much more he can get. It's about how much he's already got. For Baonam United, I mean, they've got 5 kills. They've been able to at least get into the placement points courtesy of Sapao. So he's been able to, of course, avoid the majority of the mess out west. So I think it's already job done. From this point, anything else is really a bonus. For Baonam United, you remember back towards the middle portion of this game a couple of good minutes ago, and we saw them crumbling over towards Everest. So for the most part, this is a big win for Baonam. Being able to stay alive, they've already got the kills from earlier. And I honestly think, he could probably get top 5 with a good snake position. He can really snake over and just get towards maybe the outside of this compound, unless Daytrade are really knowing that he's in there. And if they figure out that he's in there, then yeah, he will go down pretty soon.
Well, SLR's being tapped all across the map right now. Sapao, one more shot onto Sololzi. And Baonam up to 6 now. So just eking out point after point after point. And that's actually quite critical in keeping BN United in the discussion for, maybe those top 5 sort of positions. 17, it's a stone's throw away from 22, but it's quite far from 29 and still a long ways away from 35. So every single point that BN United can pick up right now is going to be a big one.
Ooh.
This could be,
that's
this
a big
could be
one.
a game for Theraton 5. Daytrade, lose another player, but Theraton 5 have been a bit slow to start. But this is a big game from them, and if they can convert this, then they're right up into the top of the scoreboard too.
Well, this is the problem with Daytrade's position there. As they lose Puchil, so you kind of caught between, well, not only Sapao giving you a bit of the business right now, which he probably has no right in doing so, being the solo player, but then those teams either got one up north still and then the main compound as well, very much have got decent eyes over towards that spot. So Daytrade, it's very much just sort of a pit stop before the final finish, which should be basically holding towards the outside of one of these buildings on the western side of this main compound. And Sapao just continues to just be a pain to try and flush out. And yeah, Daytrade now down to 3 players, so you kind of lose one for free without getting anything back. That's not ideal, pushing into what's going to be, a very congested end game as we continue on towards this main compound. And obviously for Theraton 5, I mean, I don't know how much of that's really going to be playable, because it's just going to be pushing into a lot of sightlines, especially for any of those players on roofs or being able to look out the windows, looking up towards the more northern side. So we'll see what Theraton are going to do here. They've got a decent rock. I think that's just barely in, maybe not.
Looks like they're just going to send it. Grenades are coming out. Shinvi, can he repeat the heroics of Heisaki? Well, that's pretty good. You'll take it. One is definitely enough. It's going to probably lock down a couple. There's another grenade to go through, and Shinvi, he's doing it himself. He's got all three. Receipted Junior is the only player still alive from Theraton 5. A good hold from Unicorn Phoenix as they put some more big points on the board and start to stretch that lead out.
Yeah, really, really well played from Shinvi. I mean, a pretty standard defensive nade, able to then get, so many so early on, and then there's just really no fight back that's capable from Theraton 5. Rossiter Jr. still alive, but solo now, so really has a task ahead of him. And speaking of solo players, Zapao finally meets his demise for Baonam United. A absolutely commendable effort, though, for Baonam this game. It wasn't easy. They had the 3 players for the majority of it, and then down to 2 early on, too. So not bad to at least walk away with a placement point, 6 kill points as well with that. So they just keep that scoreboard ticking over. That's all you can really ask for them this early on in the piece. So Tsunami needs to be careful. Now, NRX is a team that have been hard-fed this compound from the get-go, but it's not their compound anymore. It's equally shared.
Yeah, well, NRX, I mean, they were the team that was in here first, but they're not the team that's reaping the benefits of this position. They have really been keeping their heads down. Maestro up on the roof. He's got to be feeling a little bit scared. A lot of teams can get an angle on him, and nade gets tossed up there. He's in trouble. This looks like most of the players are trying to keep their heads down for the moment. We've sort of hit that eye of the storm kind of the game, where we're all just waiting to see what's going to happen next. Where does this circle shift go? Is it going to favor one team or another? Is it going to come back down south, keep Gatka in? Move away from it, go hard north. That would be interesting. Daytrade will be hoping for something out to the west just to keep them in with a sniff, because if they have to move into Gatka, they are done. And that's about as good as it could have gotten, I think, for Daytrade. Unicorn Phoenix is absolutely stoked as well, because that's going to keep them in a safe position. Everyone else in Gatka has to move. But Daytrade might still be able to sneak a win out from this position if they take control of that rock, which they have. They've got some nice defilade to play with here as well.
I think it's a win for us, really, as viewers as well, just being able to see this one probably come to a finish a little earlier than it could have, had that really been right on top of the sort of center point of this building. We've seen this compound before, and it really does almost get down to heel-off kind of levels right towards the end, because there's just so many buildings with so many teams. But this will force the majority of teams to move by the conclusion of Phase 8. So for the most part, and yeah, already kind of seeing Himas make his maneuver more towards the northern side, which is smart, because so much of it being still in play means that he can continue to just play the grass and hope everyone kills each other inside of this compound. Now, Made in Thailand, little split, 2-2, one side of it on the north and south. Oh, easy one here. Up above, never mind, the high ground doesn't always pay off. Rossiter Jr. just that little bit more switched on compared to Maestro. NRX losing another player, really compounding the fact that they have lost all control of this position. And so does Namshao. He goes down 2. Easy one for Jacob, and they are down to 1 player.
Yep. It's not looking too good for NRX anymore. There was a point at which I said maybe they can win this game. Well, maybe they're not even going to make it into the top 5. Tsunami, that's not going to be a nice building 2 exit. So many players looking in your direction. Receipted Jr. really trying to deal with Himas, and will be able to get that done in the end. Hungvo Ditch just watching for this push out from the last remaining NRX player, but I don't know that this is going to result in too much. The real question is going to be who actually gets the kill. Will it be Danawa maybe to grab it for Made in Thailand? And indeed, that point is going to go in that direction. So 1 more on the board for Made in Thailand. Rogue getting knocked at a fairly inopportune time is going to need to be picked up pretty quick. Smart Daytrade have actually pushed their way in across the field to Gatka with those smokes, and they can start to put pressure on the teams fighting inside. Fantastic work, fantastic move from them, and perhaps even a game-winning play.
Yeah, certainly from Daytrade, really playing this well. Very fortunate that really all of the teams inside of the compound, no one's necessarily looking to push out, get position. They're all just looking to take the fight. Hungvo Ditch gets the knock onto Rogue Namsi. So Thanawa, the only one alive now for Made in Thailand. He doesn't last much longer. All 4 kills do go the way of Unicorn Phoenix. That top spot is looking like theirs, unless Daytrade pull out the win here. Flash gets the knockdown onto Hungvo Ditch. They've got good position, and now it's only that blue that's left alive. It's pretty much down to Daytrade to win this one. They've got position, they've got the numbers, they have the advantage, and it looks as if they may have top spot as well, unless that blue dies to that blue.
Yeah, he's going to give away those points. Very, very smart from him. He knows how close Unicorn Phoenix and Daytrade are at the moment, so denying the points, not a bad move. But Daytrade picking up their 2nd win for the day. And what do you know? Again, for Unicorn Phoenix, you know, not outside of the top 2 today. These 2 teams have been so damn dominant that we are starting to see a bit of a new look PCS APAC arriving here in PCS6. Daytrade Gaming, you got to say, I mean, this is something that we've been waiting for years, actually. Right?
Since the beginning.
They've been playing since Charity Showdown, and they've not placed higher than 7th.
Yeah.
But at the moment, they're dominating everyone.
Yeah, I will say, obviously, you want to temper expectations. It's 3 games. It's 3 games with Erangel. You know, we've got to go still play on Miramar. Who knows what's going to really happen over there. But it is awesome to see for Daytrade. You know, they've been playing their trade now for years in PCS APAC. It's always just been around that midfield, middle of the pack. Never really competing with the likes of Buriram or Fury. They've always been sort of second fiddle in some ways. Now it's their time to shine. And shining, they definitely are. After 3 matches, they've picked up 2 wins. They were great in round 2 as well, 5th with 5 kills. And they've got Unicorn Phoenix right there with them. I almost love what we've got. We've kind of got the old Buriram Fury. Now it's Unicorn Phoenix Daytrade that have gotten off to the amazing start that these 2 teams have had. Made in Thailand still kind of lingering around. But then it drops off a little bit already, Jordan. 3 games, I know, and you're going to have some teams really find success on Miramar that maybe haven't been able to on Erangel. But we are already starting to see 3 teams starting to pull away after 3 games.
Yeah, indeed, indeed. I mean, that's in a sense good to see, because obviously, you know, when you think about it in the grand scheme of things, you want to be sending these kinds of teams overseas to compete internationally, you know, represent the APAC region. So if they're doing well domestically, you know, you hope that they're going to be able to do that internationally as well. But look, I mean, a few of those Daytrade members starting to put their name up in lights for Nations Cup already. It's starting to look pretty interesting. Obviously, so much still to think about. We are very, very early on in the piece here for APAC. I mean, 3 games deep.
I mean, that's the hardest part about it, though, right? Is the fact that we are early on. We almost want to ride those expectations, have fun with the fantasy of the predictions and where we think things maybe are going to end up.
Don't talk about fantasy, by the way. That's my trigger word at the moment.
I can imagine.
It's not going well. We've got 2 attack all-around members and Mad Dog, and unfortunately, I'm not getting too many points out of them. Anyway, besides the point, look, 3 games deep. Miramar on the other side. So now we have to start sort of talking about that. Is that going to change things up a little bit for some of these teams? You know, can Unicorn Phoenix, for example, keep up this pace heading into another map? Or can Daytrade do the same, right? Are they going to still be as dominant moving from Erangel to Miramar? Maybe for someone like Attack All Around, the fact that they're now not having to contest, or maybe they will have to contest Picardo. We're going to have to wait and see. But they're not going to have to contest on map number 2 is perhaps going to be a little bit more beneficial for them. Take a look at the player of the match there. It was Flash from Daytrade. You know, not the first time that we've seen a Daytrade member be the player of the match. And that's no surprise given how dominant they've been today.
Yeah, I had that flashy nade in round 1, right? But I think he's already been one-upped by Haisaki here in round 3 with an even better nade. It's been the day for nades, I think. But I think the biggest thing for Daytrade is the manner in which they won. You know, they've already won big in round 1 where they got a lot of kills. They had 9 kills in that one. I mean, not anything like 17 like AAP by any means, but you know, sometimes you can win in an unflashy way, and that's a sign of a good side, a sign of a side that has experience and has been around here before. They picked that decent position out to the west of the main area rather than sending it early. They knew those teams were going to fight each other as they made their way out. if the circle had gone a bit more to the south or right on top of the center point of that compound, they probably would not have ended up in such a good position. Ultimately, by going north, it did make it a little easier for them, but still played it well. Theraton 5 has kind of gone under the radar in this game, Jordan, though. Third place, so 5 placement points, plus the 13 kill points. They technically take top spot from match 3 in terms of the match itself, and that's now got them into the top 4 in the overall leaderboard.
Yeah, that's actually worked out fantastically for them because they really needed some points. Did you say they got 18 out of that game? They're on 21 total, so they had 3 points of the first 2 games, and all of a sudden they're now up into the top 4. That's the beauty of this format. You know, once you're able to have that one good game, you get yourself back into the discussion. But obviously still a lot of work to be done for the vast majority of teams in catching up. You've obviously sort of reiterated the fact that Unicorn Phoenix, Daytrade Gaming, they have really run away with things. They're almost a good 20 points above third place, at least in the case of Unicorn Phoenix. So that means everyone else now is kind of looking at them as the barometer, as the point at which they have to hit. And unfortunately, if you're not even in double digits just yet, you know, looking at Attack All Around, Luxurious, Alter Ego, Magic, man, you have got some catching up to do. And yes, we can say plenty of time this week, plenty of time still over the course of PCS6.
Yeah.
But that doesn't last long.
I've seen, look, we've both seen it done before, Jordan. You know, we've been around the block. We've seen big numbers, you know, brought back in. 50-point, 60-point deficits are able to be brought back, especially it's only 3 rounds gone. So by no means is any team out of it. There is not a single team that's out of it. In fact, the fact that the majority actually are on double digits, you know, and there's only 4 teams after 3 games that have not picked up double digits. One of those being, you know, AAA, of course, who had 2 rounds where they basically didn't get to play the game. You got Luxurious, who, you know, clearly are a team that's maybe not going to be competing and contending for the top spot. That's fine. Alter Ego have had a couple of rough moments, and Magic, of course, another team that has also been, you know, hot drop contesting. So other than that, everyone else has had some moments. All the other teams have had kills, good placement finishes. So we're actually seeing a rather even lobby from basically everyone for the most part, right? So that's a really good sign, but it does mean you're going to have a lot of that middle portion of the lobby, that midfield, eating up points from the other teams in the midfield. So it does mean you're not going to see as many teams around, say, 3rd, 4th, 5th on super high points, because those teams are losing out to teams that are slightly below them, and those teams are losing out to teams slightly below them. So that does give us an even lobby, but it does create an instance where you can have 2 teams kind of take that top 2 spot, and you're already starting to see that with Unicorn Phoenix and Daytrade. If they are by far and away the best teams here for PCS6 APAC, which, you know, it's early days, then I could see a world in which they run away with what is a pretty open lobby.
Yeah, look, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. I think at the very least, I do want to see what we're going to get from Miramar before I start to really form some conclusions. Day 1 is not done just yet. We've got 2 games left to go, and we'll be jumping into Miramar, match number 4 for the day. So we've gone from 6 games down to 5, but we do still have a couple to go. Couple of good matches, and let's find out what Picado means for APAC, because this will be the first time we get to see it for PCS6, and now we get to find out, are there going to be hot drops here? Is there going to be a contest over Picado for Attack All Around to deal with? Are they moving away? Big questions to ask, lots to sort of consider as we head into our penultimate game of the day.
Yeah, as you said, Jordan, only 5 matches today, down from 6 that we had for PCS5, but in the end, we are obviously going to be seeing still Erangel, Miramar getting an even amount of games. Of course, tomorrow we'll be starting with 3 matches of Miramar. So don't fret, it's not all Erangel. Miramar is going to be a big, big factor here as well. And from the looks of things, for Attack All Around, Picado completely free. In fact, I don't see much going on here. We don't really have the most amount of vision from that view. From this view, we do see Senjo close by to NRX, but other than that, I mean, I wouldn't even consider this really a hot drop. They're just close in contention.
This is funny, isn't it? It's just so relaxing, you know, but is it a prelude of things to come? I'm not sure that when they get onto the ground, it's going to be quite as chill.
Oh, no.
I mean, Hacienda del Patron is the hot drop of all hot drops, is it not?
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if this is a contention that I really want to be seeing Unicorn Phoenix taking on Alter Ego this early on, but hey, if they get some good guns and you
I
see
don't know,
two with a
man.
barrel
Yeah.
and Teddy goes down, I mean, yeah, sure, why not? I'm also referencing the fact that in a lot of hot drops, sometimes a player gets downed rather... oh, wow, never
No
mind.
problems.
Who cares about player going down? Well,
Oh,
okay, the
wow.
whole team's gone. What I was kind of going to try and get at is in this kind of situation, a team like Unicorn Phoenix could maybe lose a player, like that kind of 1 for 4. Well, they don't lose anyone. They get the 4 kills. It's instant as well. It's like no one else even landed here. They get 4 free kills. It's fine in the end. So I guess we're not going to be seeing Alter Ego coming back to Hacienda.
Yeah, everyone getting a piece of the pie there as well for Unicorn Phoenix. Each player
Here we
picking up
go.
1 kill. Get a replay of this beautiful grenade. I feel bad because it's Senjo, and I want to support him, but quite frankly, this might be the best grenade I've ever had the pleasure of casting over.
Look
And
at
it's
this.
not even a close one. It's not even he's just like tossed it out the window. He's actually tossed that a long way. That is so good.
Look, he didn't get it under the car, didn't get it under the Dacia, but it's still so clean. That is a beautiful, beautiful nade from Hosaki. One of the better ones that I've seen. Jordan, I think there was one a couple of years ago in London that maybe still was a little bit better, but that is up there. That is right up there. And unfortunately for Senjo, it's like, what is it? In basketball, you get put on a poster.
Yep.
What's the equivalent in PUBG? You get put in a Reddit post.
Yeah, you probably do get a Reddit post and maybe a Twitter post as well.
Yeah,
I know
maybe.
there is a Twitter post, so there is that at least.
Moving forward, so Miramar is going to be rather slow going, especially since we don't have any hot drops. I mean, we did, but it's over. So first couple of phases, not expecting a whole lot. We do get down towards Chumacera, so lots to really fight over there as we have a look at the top 5 kills.
Yeah, indeed. Rosita Jr. for his squad. They're at on 5, up there with 6. Shin V actually doing a lot of damage in that one as well for Unicorn Phoenix. So, it's your usual suspects, I guess. Unicorn Phoenix is there, BN United doing pretty well for themselves. Nice to see an attack all-around player, but I'm not sure that Jayers ultimately did enough to really, put attack all-around on the map just yet. He, as an individual, did a great job, and he probably couldn't have done much more, but as a whole, attack all-around for their one game where they, won the hot drop at Pachinki, probably didn't get enough done to make you sort of, perk up a little bit and look in their direction and think, okay, that looks pretty good. So I think they've still got a little bit more to do here on Miramar to sort of prove that they do deserve to be up in that discussion that they were at the start of the day, but maybe they're not so much anymore. 8 points after 3 matches is not ideal. The one thing I will say is that they didn't have a hot drop in Picado. I was just watching on the map stream and... They are now sort of moving out of there pretty comfortably. So, again, it'll be a better look for attack all around, I'd say, here on Miramar than Erangel. Glories for BN United. Not game enough to fire shots just yet.
Well, the fact that Boundam United and Magic Esports are even this close in vicinity here on Miramar after their engagements around Rozhok in Erangel. I mean, look, I tell you what, I think Magic Esports are glad that Glories is not going to take those shots because the way that it has been going between these two teams in particular, I'd almost half expect him to get a couple of bullets into the back of the head of someone, get a knock and get an early kill. So Power will take a few shots, but I think put more into the sand than into Magic Esports. So they do get away in the end. Apparently, Boundam United can miss when they are shooting against the team in red for Magic Esports because they were, well, at the mercy of Boundam United on Erangel.
They were, relatively close to Boundam United again here on Miramar, so it is a battle that I think we're going to see butting heads more often than not. Both teams coming in from the northern side of the map. Not so good here for the Expendables. They had a pretty decent run on Erangel for the first couple of games, but maybe it's kind of come to a close now. Made in Thailand, getting themselves that kill onto John. And the Expendables down to 3. They did obviously lose the third hot drop. So their night has stalled a little bit.
Made in Thailand, third at the moment. So far, 3 games played. Close to averaging 10 points a game. That's a very, very good figure to be on. So I think for them, they should be very happy with the way that the first 3 games have played out. Top 8 every single game. They had 11 kills in round 2, so good start for them. For Theraton 5, though, talk about one game wonder to really get them a whole heap of points. And that's going to be a factor. That's something we really do need to touch on here, is that you are going to have teams that are going to just go out and get, like a 13-kill, third place kind of result. And that's going to get them quite a hefty amount of points. So don't be surprised if you see a team that's anywhere from, I'll say 4th to 12th, get a big game here, and suddenly they're into the top 3, top 4. It's still early days. Those kind of swings are possible, and Sololzi goes down to gems rather easily in the end. So a good start for attack all around here on Miramar, and for Cerberus, losing a player this early, not ideal.
Attack all around will be quite pleased to pick up the point. They need every single point they can get at the moment. It's going to go into the hands of Gems. Himas still copying a few shots in his direction, but perhaps just a little too far away to really be much of a problem. So Cerberus do pull off a nice rotate. Algenbots is literally just stolen. He's just stolen their bike. Does he know Senjo is right there?
Well, it's not stealing, it's borrowing. Also, Monty gets a free kill here onto Hungbo Ditch. He has a couple more coming his way, though. A bit more company.
He had no idea.
Go back over to Lynxy. He gets drop-shotted by Algenbots. He just took out his kneecaps. Oh, Lynxy. Unfortunate. But a big result there for Archangel Predator. Now Algenbots needs to try and stay alive. There was a Molotov thrown by Kang, but falls short.
That was... I wonder if Mad Dog got some shots in there as well, and CJ might have just finished him off. Well, Steel's going to look for some revenge, isn't he? Shot comes out from the Car 98. CJ on the floor, but Mad Dog right next to him. Should be able to get that res relatively cleanly, and Algenbots is going to keep that pressure onto Senjo. Bit of an awkward engagement. Senjo do have...
what do you really do,
split.
though, if you're Senjo? You don't really want to be running around outside and then you get picked off. It's unfortunate Lynxy loses that battle. It was close, very close. So it was one that could really just go either way. In the end, I think just the difference is that Algenbots hits the drop shot, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's just one of those things that, you know, Lynxy's been in that situation many times over his career. He's probably won those before and lost those before. So big play from Algenbots. Either team really just going to obviously be suffering with the loss of one of those players in the end at Senjo. So they come off second best as Team Bliss. So far, been pretty decent over the first 3 games of Erangel. Keen to see how they progress over to Miramar. Top 8 in all 3 games for the team in pink. We'll see how they go here on Miramar. Decent vision here from Mirage with the Mini 14. Unicorn Phoenix, of course, already losing. Hungbo Ditch, will they lose another one here? Tough shots to hit from that kind of distance. You could actually see it from UMP's perspective there. That is a long distance.
It is indeed. Ambitious, of course, but... See how this goes for Reb. Oh, this I can't imagine works out too well for him. NRX Esports, they've just crept up. Nades are going to get tossed in. Reb does well to get the first, but he's going to have to run out of ammo shortly, and I think he wanted the flush there, which ultimately led to his downfall, but I'm sure he would have gotten traded regardless, and now Senjo probably donezo. It is just Steel. He's got
not bad
shots coming in the back.
Not bad to get that first one, though, from Reb. I was about to say I'm going to call an ambulance meme, and then not for me, but not quite there from Reb. And look, I think an opportunity as well has arisen for Archangel Predator to kind of just push back up this hill. They hear the commotion. They know there's a fight that they can third party. They've still got the 4 players alive, so why not? Why not go for it?
100%. They're the kind of team that's going to go for it as well. I mean, you saw what they could do in game number 1. They just need to pick their moment, though, don't they? They're going to hear those shots coming through from Steel now and start to continue to creep their way forward. Steel's gotten 1, and that's basically the best case scenario for Archangel Predator. They can really see now they're picking that pace up very quickly indeed. CJ pushing at the doors of the house. Rez is coming across. NRX might be back to full strength in just a second. And Archangel Predator will lose the first player.
Playing this well at the moment, NRX, though, to their credit. I mean, the push up onto Senjo, not easy, pushing up to this compound, and then they, won that one pretty comfortably for the most part. I actually thought Senjo did all right in a couple of different instances. It just weren't sort of connected instances. Reb got one down, Still got one down, but they were at different times, so it loosens that sort of factor. But yeah, this is an opportunity now for NRX to continue on shooting well, hitting their shots. AAP, a little bit vulnerable here for the moment, but the longer this does kind of go on, I think the more you're going to back in Archangel Predator.
Yeah, I mean, they've been able to get that res. Mad Dog is just watching the outside of the building, ensuring that no one from NRX is going to jump out any of the windows or the doors. And if someone does, he should have it pretty cleanly locked up. Going to pop his smoke down just to provide a little more space for himself as well. But NRX are now working their way toward the roof. And with that, perhaps a shift in favor goes in their direction. Mad Dog getting a little bit too antsy. Grenade in hand. Nicel finds a good timing. Knocks him onto the floor. And NRX now have a two-number advantage. Just CJ's also caught with a grenade out.
Yeah, they've played this entire compound on the hill absolutely perfectly. As soon as they pushed into Senjo, up until now, everything they've been able to do has been on the money. Nan is not even close to really helping out either. I mean, you're not really going to be able to land those shots all that convincingly from this kind of distance as they're running around the buildings. You've only got a couple of little windows to look at. No one's really running outside. So the anchor position there for Archangel Predator, not giving them a whole lot as Glory's now getting surrounded by Theraton 5. So 50 seconds left here for phase 2, and we are getting a decent amount of action.
Ooh, grenade in there from Zest. Bounam United definitely putting Theraton 5 under the pump at the moment. Rosita Jr. just says, nope, I'm out. Lads, you know, you've dug your grave. I'm not going to be buried there with you. So he'll just try to play the rest of this one out as a solo. But as we've seen, how much can you really get done as a solo? I guess it depends. JS did a fair bit for attack all around last game.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like sometimes Miramar's a little harder, right? You don't have as much of the sort of grass snake play that you can find on Erangel. Less trees as well. Depends on where you're finishing, though. So, which, speaking of where we're going to be looking to finish, we'll maybe get a bit more of an inclination in about 5 seconds' time when we get our Phase 3 circle. So let's have a bit of a peek. There we go. Okay, Chumasera. And that's a pretty common location here for Miramar.
No one inside of Chumasera. Attack all around, I guess. 2-1-1 split for them. So they'll be happy if this goes central or out to the east. Bit of noise being made by Made in Thailand. And Duck is going to choose his time to strike, but he's not been able to land the shots. Another couple do come through from his teammates. But Made in Thailand are out scot-free.
Yeah, and it's really just kind of simmered down a little bit, hasn't it? I thought for a minute we were really going to end up with a pretty decent Phase 3 as we were seeing a couple of nades fly out. Theraton 5 pushed in, and yeah, suddenly it's all just really sort of come to a bit of a head and a bit of a standstill. A lot of space for all of these teams because of the fact that we've seen Alter Ego and Senjo eliminated. Then you take into account Theraton 5 as a solo player, Archangel Predator as a duo. I mean, 48 alive at 14.5 minutes. Is a lobby that is heavily wounded, so there is a lot of space, more so than you would maybe usually find, even for this Chumasera area.
Well, I'm actually quite interested to see if NRX can finish off Archangel Predator. These are the two teams through from the Philippines, and it looks like NRX is not going to show them any mercy. Maestro, who is a player we've seen in PCS before, is actually the only member from NRX that we've seen in PCS. He was on the Colony, if you remember. They were a bit of an exciting prospect. I enjoyed watching that team. I'm a bit disappointed they didn't manage to sort of get back in. But I don't think the team
exists
anymore.
Was that like PCS 3 or something?
No, I think that was PCS 4 and 5, actually.
Oh, was it?
Just
Okay,
last year.
never mind.
Yeah, but NRX, they have this one on lockdown, I'd say. Algin Bots does get finished off, and Nan, well, he's just still sniping from up in this building. Not really able to provide too much assistance.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Carbs, Mamonji, Maestro, and Alec. Oh, good memories. Well, 45 seconds until Phase 4. And yeah, NRX, are they going to be able to finish off Nan? Yes, it is. Will it be NRX or will it maybe be the Expendables? Jacob with the 3 times on the mini from that kind of distance, as 777 has a little bit more issues in front of him. Petret with a nice tag, and then Leons will finish him off across the road, has the angle there on the wall. So nice elimination for Magic Esport. Again, Erangel was just not really the place for them. The Roshawk battle against Boundam United never went their way, and Levi's almost runs over Duck. So that was a close one.
It's going to be a close thing for them for the rest of this game as well, I'd say, Xenox. They are going to have to do some really hard work to get back inside of the zone. You can see Nan is right behind them, going for the seat swap. Won't work out for him, but he can't be messing around too much. He's got to get inside of the zone himself. NRX on the other side of the road. The Expendables will go riding past that relatively comfortably, but now they're in the angle that Magic Esports is watching. So a lot of distance to cover for all those teams out on the western side of the map, and I can't imagine Nan's going to be having a fun time.
Yeah, we just saw that circle pop as well for Phase 4. Just touching on that briefly, I think a really decent one actually for Team Bliss if it continues in their direction, because it's sloping down to them, right? So if they do get a bit of a hard feed, teams will be pushing down Chimicera into their compound, so that's going to favor Team Bliss, but then obviously vice versa if it, as we see the Expendables eliminated by Daytrade, vice versa obviously if it does kind of swing back to the west on top of Chimicera, they'll have to make their way up there. But there's a lot of avenues for them to be able to do that. So very keen to see how it plays out. Trick, well, Rosita Jr. able to find that knockdown. Extraordinaire have been a team that has been thoroughly in the action so far tonight. Sometimes not at the expense of the opposing team, though, and more so towards themselves. But Rosita Jr., the solo here, they should be able to deal with him at some point in the near future. It's made in Thailand on the run. Currently 3rd place overall after 3 games. 1 elimination so far here in match number 4, our first one of Miramar. And, well, Trick is still down. Never mind, now back up. Finally, took a little bit of time, but now they can hunt down Rosita Jr.
They might be feeling a little bit scared about doing that. They've only got 2 players inside of this building. I think How's on the other side. Anyway, we'll hold that thought for the moment. Sylphie's just been knocked down to 6 HP. Ducks his head underneath the cover just in time. And now Nalgurus are down to just the smell. The smell. I don't know if the smell's going to be enough to finish things off. Actually, it looks like 74L1 was able to get 1 knock before he dropped. But end of the day, that was going to be going the way of Made in Thailand every day of the week.
That's clean for a Made in Thailand, though. I think there's probably PCS events gone by where they would maybe lose a player or 2 there or push too egregiously. They were rather controlled, didn't really overpeak, and unfortunately for Luxurious, just I think Made in Thailand played that really, really well. And now they've got an opportunity actually to compound this onto Unicorn Phoenix, who are down to just Shin V and Dat Blue. And Shin V gets sat by Mirage of Team Bliss. A nice little snipe, but he may not get much for it. Dat Blue, though, puts a bit of pressure and punishment into Escalusia. So for all the good from Made in Thailand, there's now a whole heap of bad. It's only Thanawa.
It could get worse as well. I mean, Dat Blue, he's just a solo, but he can definitely do some damage. Will, in the end, get picked up.
Wow.
Made in Thailand are out of the picture. 11. That's not very good in the end. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Like, I guess they didn't really have an easy place to play from. They had to try to work their way hard through the map. And it hasn't worked out this time. So, fair enough. It is what it is. Unicorn Phoenix are, to be fair, a really tough team to go up against as well in this current form. Magic Esports seem to be suffering at the hands of the Zone and at the hands of Daytrade, who are looking in their direction. Leon's surely must have run out of meds. Petret is just going to leave him for dead. I don't know if he's going to be able to get in, and even if he does, is he going to give up a free
he's looking
point?
the wrong way. He's looking the wrong way. Oh, Shin V is his savior, though. Oh, Petra. Well, of course, he had to make the mad dash because of the blue, right? So it's not like he could just stand in the blue and fire those shots. He's done that pretty much everything he could do. It was just unfortunate that Shin V was covering. So, well, Dat Blue is a lucky, lucky boy. And Unicorn Phoenix have now suddenly made it into the top 8. And they've picked up a whole bunch of kills. Again, sign of a good side. You don't have to always play at that sort of top level. But the best teams will be able to grind out kills, grind out points, and continue to put a gap against their opponents. And, well, a gap in the fence for NRX. But in the end, it didn't lead them anywhere other than their death.
Yeah, Maestro just sent it into the wall and went splat. And Jay has finished off the rest. Very clean for attack all around. Maybe this is their resurgence. They've got 4 players alive. They are controlling the zone at the moment. BN United underneath them. Glory's already eating grenades. Yanku, he spotted them out. Big spray coming through. Zest is eventually going to go down, but Yanku will be traded down by Nurans. And if he drops, attack all around, start to lose a lot of presence. Jay is there to save him, to keep him alive for the moment. Glories is looking for the flush if he can get it. Won't be able to do so at the moment. Gems is waiting behind that smoke for someone to make a wrong step. Yanku was just calling him over, saying, I'm safe for the moment, but you're going to need to pick me up, get me inside of that smoke to get the res off. Grenade's going to go sailing past them, but Gems, he's gotten him to safety, I'd say.
Yeah, it's as good as you could probably ask for. Well played. Attack all around here are trying to obviously just get themselves back up and into the fight. And if they can, they've still got, of course, Simon Zest a little bit behind these two as well. So not a bad effort here for Attack all around. And this is a big match all of a sudden because you've got Unicorn Phoenix and Daytrade still alive, getting placement points and getting kill points. But the rest of the teams alive are all in that kind of midfield. If you want to stay in touch with that top two, you kind of need to do well this game. Again, it's early days, I know, but you really don't want to be 40, 50 points behind by the end of the night, right? Like, it's going to be a bit of a long climb back because Daytrade, Unicorn Phoenix, they're not going to give up many points, apparently, if they continue to play like this throughout the event. So you need to be getting points here. You need to be capitalizing. And ideally, you need to be getting them out of the game early. Trick sat down by Glooms. Well played. How Kid X still up, though, for Extraordinaire. Glooms low, takes a bit of damage back the other way. Glory, Sapao, both knocked down.
Wow.
Janku with a quick double on the outside, holding the angle really, really well. Now makes it tricky for Boundam United. So Shoes on the other foot now.
Attack all around are doing their best Archangel Predator impression. That first game from AAP was phenomenal, and this one from Attack all around is starting to feel a little bit like it. They're taking battles on multiple fronts, and they seem to be winning them all. Yes, it's a close thing in some instances, but they haven't lost a player just yet. And this is a bit more like what I expected from Attack all around to start the day off. It's good to finally see them, having a bit of a run. They've got a lot of catching up to do, though. So the work that they put in thus far here on Miramar is not going to be enough. They need to convert this maybe not necessarily into a win, but they need to be getting lots of kills out of it. You need to be sitting up in the double digits maybe for this one. 10 kills plus a decent placement to really get Attack all around back into a good spot on that scoreboard.
Oh, Kid X, I was about to say, nice spray from Jays to get some decent damage there into Trick, but it's Kid X the other way who lands what could be the knockout blow. Jams Janku down as well. Suddenly Attack all around. It's only Glooms that's left, so and now the shoe's back on their foot.
I think maybe they've just bitten off a little more than they could chew. They had to deal with BN United. They had to deal with, a couple of other teams looking at them as well, like Daytrade is even here. So ultimately, just one too many fights being taken by Attack all around, and unfortunately, it's brought them unstuck. But a much more respectable performance from them here in Game 4 than what we've already seen tonight. It does bring with it some positive signs. We'll just have to wait until we get to see a little bit more from them.
Yeah, and I'd like to see a little bit more of Team Bliss because they're in a very, very interesting position, right? Not part of the chaos of the exit of Chumacera. They're holding on the outside, inside Bryn close by, but then they've got two more in Mirage and Monty further down to the south, close by to the compound of Cerberus. So Team Bliss feeling like maybe they're in a position where they could come away with the win this game based on the way that they're holding the angles that they're holding. 4 players up. Zest goes down to the push-in from Puchil. So Daytrade now go up to 6 kills this game. 4 of them to Puchil's alone. Daytrade continuing to keep the points ticking over, staying in touch with Unicorn Phoenix for that top 2 battle. And there is that map overview, and you can kind of see the aggressive hold from Team Bliss, holding one compound down to the south and holding the teams up north in Chumacera as well.
Yeah, very, very aggressive 2-2 split. We did see a big 2-2 split from them to start things off on Erangel as well. It seems to be something that they like to have in their wheelhouse. There goes Glooms out in 6th for Attack all around, but still a much better performance for them. Team Bliss is the only team with 4 players alive. So maybe we can start to think about them as...
Oh, you've jinxed them. You've absolutely jinxed them.
Maybe. I was going to say, maybe they might be a team to look to walk away with a win here, but Insight instantly just gets wrecked by How. Insta-flushed as well. And Team Bliss now join the rest of the field with 3 players.
And the play that they've done there, we've seen that before from teams actually that Insight has sort of been a part of. So it's not a bad play by any means. And I think it's the kind of play, if you're going to win the game, you've got to go for it. So How just gets a decent angle, catches Inside off guard. It is what it is. Now they can all just fall back down to the south. Cerberus, of course, still inside of this compound. So Team Bliss still with 3 players alive. The other factor as well, Jordan, is they kind of had a player to give in a way, because there's no other team in this lobby that has 4 alive anyway. So all they've done is joined parity with the other teams like Cerberus and Extraordinaire.
You're right. but I'm sure they wouldn't necessarily see it that way. They'd
I'm
love to
just
have
trying to
four.
look on the bright side, mate.
Look on the bright side. Oh, Mr. Positive, Xenox. I love casting with you. You know, you've never said anything negative in
Oh, never.
your entire life. It's always good to have, that
Okay,
positivity.
but where does Extraordinaire go here? This is the problem with this kind of circle, and the problem with Miramar in a nutshell. Nice shot from Mirage. Can he back it up onto How? Not as much, but still getting that first one is big because Extraordinaire was one of the other two teams that still had 3 players alive. So you got rid of at least 1 player. Now it's only Cerberus that also sort of matches you in the amount of players
Big kill.
that are still alive as Belmont does go down. So that's the end of Daytrade. Big for Unicorn Phoenix,
Yep.
Jordan. It's almost like a 2-edged one, right? You get rid of your rival in a way.
Yeah, I like to think about it as a scale, right? You're taking points away from them and you're putting them on your side, and obviously it is a net benefit in both respects. So Unicorn Phoenix are really going to continue to look to push that lead higher and higher as we go through the rest of the day. There's not much time left, but one more game and already an 11-point lead over second place. You'd have to say that's a very successful first day for Unicorn Phoenix. I mean, they're tracking at crazy amounts of points a game, like 15 points a game at the moment.
Yeah. One thing, I know they're out now, but I wanted to just quickly touch on AAA, 17 points, practically all of that from, what, 2 games?
2 games, yeah.
So not a bad little margin. So they'll be a team that will sort of make their way back up the midfield battle. How Kid X. Extraordinaire have actually been pretty decent so far here on Miramar. 6 kills. They're obviously going to get a top 4 finish, so full credit to them. You can see them fighting at the moment in the top 5. Probably a team that's gone a little under the radar considering we haven't seen them before in PCS APAC. They've done well, but I think they're just fodder to Unicorn Phoenix here because Team Bliss and Cerberus are not even close to being able to get in the sightlines of Extraordinaire.
Well,
so should be 2 kills for Unicorn Phoenix.
what I would say is going to be pretty interesting here, actually, is that the zone has actually shifted away from Bliss and Cerberus. So while the chicken dinner algorithm does say that it should be one of those two to walk away with the win, they actually kind of have to work their way out of cover and maybe open up an angle against, for example, Unicorn Phoenix, who can just play the top of this cliff if they're able to clear out Extraordinaire, which, as you've said, may be about to happen. Already a knock from Mirage onto How as well is going to be bad news. Monty with the 180 flick is going to finish things off against Himas, but in the meanwhile, Extraordinaire are eliminated in 4th, and that's kind of bad news for Cerberus and Bliss, because it means Unicorn Phoenix now just have to look down.
I'm sorry. I'm just a bit shook there from that little flick back from Monty. That was
That's
sublime.
50k right there, mate, for the fantasy team. So he's got to put those kind of performances up on the reg.
Yeah, a big one. Look, the only thing is, look at this overview that we just had for a brief moment, how difficult the sort of forward future is looking for Team Blizz. Unicorn Phoenix are in a prime position to actually win this game. I can't believe it. Dat Blue Shin V have been a duo for what feels like an eternity. And yeah, they're just going to have slim pickings. There's nothing that Team Blizz can necessarily do here. Couple of smokes, but then the nades get thrown out. They can get sprayed down from above as well. So it's just, they're just fodder, unfortunately, to the flame of the Unicorn Phoenix, and I think Cerberus are going to be following suit as well. Hayasaki needs to stay alive for as long as he possibly can, and he can't do that for very long. What a nade from Shin V.
Yeah, man, the nades have really been on point today, haven't they? We've just seen some phenomenal tosses from a bunch of different teams. Hayasaki will be confirmed, so now we're back into a 2-on-1 for Duckmai. He's just going to keep himself situated underneath this clip, and I guess hope for the circle to push the 2 lads off the top, and maybe he can find a way to win it, but...
What a start, though, Jordan. I'm sorry, but, like, Unicorn Phoenix tonight have just been on another level. Absolutely. Yep. Second, first, second, and now maybe first again. It's top 2 minimum for Unicorn Phoenix to start PCS6 APAC. They have picked up right where they left off from PCS5.
Well, it's fantastic to see, isn't it? We sort of needed a new team to be the top dog. A couple of the big ones have departed in recent times, and Unicorn Phoenix are really putting their name up in lights to start off the day and to start off the season, and I guess to start off the year as well. Like, we saw them in PCS 5, and they did really well in the first couple of weeks. They weren't able to hold it down for week number 3, but we thought, look, these guys are a new team. Well, a new team to PCS. They're an exciting prospect. What are they going to bring for us? Blah, blah, blah. But it's one season, and, you know, sometimes you just have one good season. The fact that they're being able to back that up and do it again, and in fact, perhaps even do better here in PCS6 is I mean, they're just a super, super exciting prospect. And it makes me a little bit sad that we didn't get to see them at PGC. But anyway, there'll be another opportunity for them this year. And the way that they're going, you know, they might be that first team from APAC to lock that spot in.
Yeah, mate. I mean, I tell you what. I mean, if it wasn't for Daytrade keeping up with them, they would already have a pretty commendable lead to kickstart the first 4 games. Now, Dokmai is still in a winnable position. I know it's weird, but it's true. You cannot count him out. 1v2 is not impossible. And if by any chance Unicorn Phoenix falls down from this cliff, you do not want to say it's impossible. If he gets it down, he's in a chance to win. Flash above. Dat Blue is just starting to make his way down, I think. He's at least on the edge of it. Shinvi's got a great angle, though, and should win from that position. He's literally on 1 HP to even try and fight back there. Full credit. But Unicorn Phoenix, well, they are allergic to finishing outside of the top 2. It's just not possible. Second, first, second, and now first from Unicorn Phoenix. Leading the way here.
Let that be a lesson to you, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to be good at PUBG, wear sandals and get blue hair. That's all you need to do, apparently. Unicorn Phoenix, they're on an absolute tear at the moment. Oh, jeez. Where do they go from here? I mean, you know, normally you say it's only up from here, but in theory, it's only down from here for Unicorn Phoenix. But unbelievably, they've been able to keep this pace up for 4 games. So 1 left. If they get another win or another second place, how many points out of the day would that end up being? They were like 60 points before they even won that. They were 15 points a game. They're at 70 points after 4 games, Xenox.
Yeah.
That is unreasonable.
And while the gap between them and Daytrade is, you know, very, very manageable, I think it's only, 21 points or so. That's really not a whole lot. When you kind of look at the gap for Unicorn Phoenix from them to, say, the midfield, to the middle of the table, it is already, you know, the upper echelons of the 40s, right? And we're only 4 games in, so they need to slow down, or everyone else needs to pick up the pace. It's Unicorn's lobby, and we're all just a part of it. And look, they have just been sensational. Miramar, I will say, great Miramar, but there was that brief moment. If we remember back, Dat Blue was on the verge of being eliminated, Jordan, and Shinvi had his back. If Shinvi does not hit that shot and Dat Blue goes down, he's a solo. Don't know if they go on and win the game. So what a turning point that ended up being.
Ripple effect, mate. You know, you throw the pebble into the water and it sends out ripples.
Yeah.
And sometimes they could look different depending on how the pebble lands. Obviously, in this case, it landed favorably for Unicorn Phoenix. I don't know if you like my analogy there, but anyway, that's fine. Yeah, look, I think the way that you put it is quite good. It is Unicorn Phoenix's lobby, and we're just playing in it. Daytrade are kind of keeping it interesting, but they're a good 21 points behind with 1 game left to play today. And then the rest of the field have less than half the points of Unicorn Phoenix. You know, Made in Thailand's at 32, Server's 24. They have so much catching up to do. They're triple the points of almost half the lobby. It's just insane the amount of consistency they've had tonight. 14 kill win, 12 kill win, 9 second place. I mean, it's just crazy here from Unicorn Phoenix. I'm at a loss for words. To be fair, I mean, it's obviously taking a lot of the points away from everyone else, right? They're acting as a bit of a sponge. There are only so many points you can get in any given game. And a lot of those are going the way of Unicorn Phoenix. So maybe force some of those teams towards the bottom of the score. But their performance isn't necessarily as bad as it looks like it is because Unicorn Phoenix is just picking everything up.
And I will say, like, Daytrade's obviously, I would right now consider it sort of a top 2. But then it's literally everyone still. It's still a free-for-all down below, right? So if you're anywhere from essentially 3rd, even down to last, it's still fine. You're still able to be fighting for something. So realistically, for those teams, not only obviously do you want to be continuing to fight for that top spot, and you want to be making sure that if Unicorn Phoenix do slow down, you're not that far behind them that you can actually capitalize. But realistically, only 1 or 2 really good games could see you go from, say, like a 13th up into 3rd. Like, it's really, really close right now between everyone besides Unicorn Phoenix and Daytrade to some degree. So it's a really, really close lobby, all things, you know, considered. It's just that Unicorn Phoenix are the clear standouts. Now, we've seen PCS events in the past, Jordan, where teams have shot out of the blocks day 1 and then not really done much in the other days. Obviously, we know Unicorn Phoenix, pretty consistent team from what we saw of them in PCS5. I think it was only week 3 that they floundered a little bit. So this is the team that I'm not expecting to really slow down all that much. Everyone else is going to have to pick up the pace.
Yep, for sure, for sure. 24 points out of that one for Unicorn Phoenix. So, hey, why not? Let's just take that. Sounds good. I believe that's the biggest game of the day, the biggest game of the tournament. It is indeed. 14 kill win. Haven't seen anything better so far. It's crazy to go back and look at game one and think we had an 18-point game from Archangel Predator where they got 17 kills and we were like, well, we're not going to see much better than that, are we? Like, obviously, 17 kills is pretty crazy, but Unicorn Phoenix have got 14 and a win, and now it's, forget all about Archangel Predator at this point. They're sitting in 8th place.
Yeah, a bit of a drop down for them, of course. Plenty of time to get things back. We are going to go to a short break. When we do make our way back, though, Miramar will be our final game.
Hello PUBG Esports fans. The PUBG Continental Series is back with PCS6 just around the corner. As the finest teams around the world prepare for battle, it's time once again to learn about what prizes you fans can bring home with the Pick'em Challenge. Want to find out how to earn valuable esports points and free voting coupons? Let's dive right into it. There's a ton of new PCS6 esports items waiting for you to purchase and earn, starting with this tournament's premium items. Until May 6th, you'll be able to pick up PCS6 themed items for your own games and support your favorite teams while doing so. Each purchase supports our PCS6 teams, with 30% of net sales going right back to them via the prize pool. Purchasing PCS6 items will also reward you with up to 14 voting coupons to use in Pick'em Challenge events. Buying gets you cool stuff while supporting the teams you love watching and giving you extra chances to earn even more. One change this time around. Voting periods for teams will be held separately, as regions face off during separate 2-week competitions. You can vote for Asia Pacific and Americas regions from April 6th until April 22nd, and Asian and European regions from April 25th until May 6th. Now, let's take a look at all the ways to pick 'em and win. The first event of the Pick'em Challenge is the Pick the Winner game. Use your voting coupons to predict the overall winners for each participating region. If your chosen team is declared the winner of their region, you get 100,000 EP to spend in the esports shop. With 4 different regions, that's 400,000 EP up for grabs in the game, so plan your picks out and sit back while the EP rolls in. The second game is Team Face-Off. In Team Face-Off, you can earn EP without needing a coupon, simply by picking the winner between 2 rival teams. Like before, EP prizes will be weighted depending on how many votes a team has gotten, so playing it safe for a smaller prize or risking your vote for a higher payout are both valid options. Prizes range from 400 to 7,600 EP, so choose your team and cheer them on. There are also ways for you to earn a free voting coupon and bonus EP. First, tune into PCS6 live streams for a special code that pops up during the games. Redeeming the code fast enough will grant you another free voting coupon. You'll be able to grab 2 voting coupons from the first week of APAC Americas and Asia Europe streams, so don't forget to stay tuned as the tournament begins. For even more EP, make sure your Crafton account is connected to Twitch. You'll earn EP through drops by watching official tournament broadcasts. You can also play the Pick and Go game on official PUBG Twitch channels. Pick and Go puts you up against randomly selected players to each choose the 9 teams you think will perform best in the next match. Enter your picks and watch your score grow as the match goes on. If your points beat out the other teams, you'll earn some EP. A new Pick and Go game starts each match, so play often and win more. To check out the teams and cast your votes, pop into the PCS6 Esports tab by clicking the PCS logo in the menu. Here you'll find info on the tournament. You can also click on the button in the bottom left corner to learn more at the official PUBG Esports website. The Esports tab will be operational until May 25th. You picked them, now it's time to spend them. Browse through the Esports shop and plan out how to spend your soon-to-be oodles of EP. Once you've collected your points, come back and spend them on your favorite items. The shop will only be open until May 25th, and any leftover EP will be lost after the store closes, so make sure to use it all. The first global event of 2022 is almost here. Which squads will claim victory for their region? Find out when PUBG Continental Series 6 begins on April 15th. Pick your teams, cast your vote, and tune in for all the great PUBG esports action.
I know what you really want. Turn it up and do it die. Maybe we're in paradise. I'm feeling like a hero. Turn it up and do it die. Everything is on the line. I'm feeling like a hero. Turn it up and do it die.
ready.
Welcome back to the Unicorn Phoenix show. I feel like it is here for PCS6 APAC. They lead the way, 70 points after 4 games played. Daytrade not too far behind them, admittedly. And of course, still early days, Jordan. But hey, you couldn't have asked for a better start.
Well, I mean, early days, yeah, that is true. But you've also got 70 points already for Unicorn Phoenix. And you think about, how many total points you might expect to see after 30 games played, whatever that number is. 300 maybe is a really good scoreline. You're already almost a third of the way there, and you've played like
4 games.
Five games.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, they're going to get more points out of this in theory. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe they get knocked out in first, last place. That would kind of still be a very, very good day for Unicorn Phoenix, but would be a bit of a disappointing end to it. I mean, look, either way, yeah, fantastic stuff from Unicorn Phoenix. Good stuff from Daytrade. Reasonable stuff from, a few other teams, probably down to, 9th or 10th position. BN United down in 10th, I think, and they're doing okay.
Yeah.
But there's quite a few teams below that also really need to start to pick up the pace. We can get a look at that actually on the leaderboard here after game number 4. And I would say probably attack all around down. You're starting to get a little bit concerned if you're not getting any more points on the board out of this last game.
Well, you say that, but really the difference between 4th to 12th is only 8 points. So it's not really a big number if you're the Expendables and you have really one big game to finish the day off here. You're into the top 4, likely, right? So, yeah, I do agree that you don't really want to be down towards the bottom this early on, especially when you're taking into account Unicorn Phoenix already on 70. But the other thing to mention, and we touched on it at the pre-match discussion and the pre-show discussion, is the sort of the way the points are distributed and the way the money is distributed. You don't have to finish first. Yes, you get 200 points for first and 120 for second, obviously prize pool alongside that. But if you finish, say, like 5th, that's still 64 points. That still puts you in a good position going into PCS7, provided you make it back. So ultimately, I think that that's really what a lot of the teams are still obviously going to be wanting to fight for. That 4th spot, that's 80 points, and that is well and truly still, of course, going to be up for grabs. And even top spot is as we head into match number 5. The other thing is now, for Unicorn Phoenix, though, it does kind of feel like it's on them to slip up more than anything, because I think you might even already be past the point as the other teams being able to keep up pace with them. Because that gap is already quite large, you need that combination of, say, a Made in Thailand, Cerberus, Bliss starting to play to the same level as Unicorn, but also wanting Unicorn to now come down a little bit too.
I wouldn't wish ill upon anyone, Xenox. I want to see Unicorn keep winning. You're just a toxic caster. Anyway, let's see what happens here in game number 5. It is, once again, going to be attack all around to get into Picardo untroubled. And that did work out a lot better for them in that previous game. So they may seem to be on the rise. Cheeksing and 1, 2, 3, 4 contesting the vehicle. And it is going to go the way of Cheeksing. Or, I mean, surely he doesn't waste too much time with 1, 2, 3, 4 here. He's got a tree to hide behind. So Cheeksing will be off on his merry way.
Yeah, don't really want to be wasting time there. We've seen some players in the past try and really go for that, spend too long, and then the teammate from the other team ends up making their way over with a gun and getting a bit of a revenge. As we look at the total damage done, that's through matches 1 to 4. So really nice little, it's a small sample size, but still a sample size now nonetheless. So combining all of the first 4 matches and Flash leading the way, 2,000 damage for Daytrade. The biggest takeaway for me, Jordan, is no real clear standout from Unicorn Phoenix. Now that highlights a pretty cohesive unit. Shin V is obviously the one leading the way for them as a team in 3rd. So you haven't really got that super clear standout, that 1 or 2 players that are carrying the team. It's clearly a team performance.
It's kind of what you want to be seeing, isn't it? All 4 players firing. That's, reminiscent of what we used to get from the Rams and the Furies when they were dominating the region. Here's the kills on that previous match, the top 5. It was Shin V and Dat Blue from the front for Unicorn Phoenix. Makes a lot of sense given the fact that they were a duo for the vast majority of that game. And then, some cameos in from Poochills, Nicel, and Mirage. Another top 3 placing for Team Bliss. It has to be said that they've had a pretty decent start to the competition as well. I think in retrospect, obviously, Fury has been that one team from Oceania that has really been able to contest within this region, and a lot of the other teams that we've seen sort of playing, and I know some of those have been earlier iterations of this Team Bliss roster, haven't really been able to contest to the same degree, but Team Bliss are actually up in the top 5 at the moment, so I think they're sort of holding that flag quite well here in PCS6 after Fury's obviously departed.
Yeah, and it's early days, but they're showing really good signs, not in terms of points, but just in terms of play style, the way they're moving around the map. So I think if you're a Bliss fan, you should be very happy with the way things have gone here for day one. Tied for 4th place at the moment with themselves, NRX and Cerberus. The Cerberus, of course, a team to sort of touch on a little bit there too, because they have struggled immensely in the past for PCS APAC, Jordan. And I know it's only day one, and a lot of it did come from their last 2 or 3 games, but it's good to see them up and about at the top, or at least on the higher end of the standings, because I feel like a lot of the time Cerberus just come out of the gate so slow and just never are able to then bring their way back into things. So good to see them starting well. We'll see if they can continue that as Luxurious Esports now pushing close to Archangel Predator, which has been a bit unfortunate. And speaking of starting well, they did start well. Since then, they have not really been able to get a whole lot going as they've dropped down into 8th overall.
You're right. They got 18 points out of the first game, and we thought, oh, this is Archangel Predator's day. They're going to destroy everyone. But they've got 4 points in the 3 games since then. CJ is under a lot of pressure right now. He's calling for that rotation to come in from his teammates. Needs some help right now. Sylphie, lucky the door closed and ate a couple of bullets there, I'd say. CJ still surviving as he drops off the roof, but that, of course, gives high ground control to Luxurious.
Yeah, and that's probably a stalemate for both teams because, yeah, as you said, the door soaking up quite a lot of damage there. Nan, well, he's actually pushing over towards Smell, so it's like anchor v anchor here because we've been seeing Nan really being the anchor for Archangel Predator. Somehow Smell has not been able to get that down. He got the initial headshot but couldn't follow up the shots after that. Now has to reload the barrel. Sylphie's been knocked by Mad Dog. Can they get Nan help? No. Smell is able to finally get that down. So it's a 1-for-1 down, but Sylphie's going to be able to get revived by 74L1 unless Archangel push in, and I think they have to because they're going to lose Nan. He's not going to be able to be brought back up. Smell's going to finish him off. So they've lost Nan. They need to get something for it, and they may be able to. Knock down onto MBK as they push in, looking to force this engagement pretty much to the end.
Well, Archangel Predator are committed as much as they can as well. Luxurious. Oh, Sylphie and 74L1 very low on HP. Mad Dog round the side. Does clean one up, but instantly traded down by Sylphie. So again, Archangel Predator still teetering on the precipice of having a bit of a problematic fight. And not going to be able to get that res onto Mad Dog at all. That's actually in the end finished off by Sylphie. So it is just down to that last remaining member for Luxurious. He will in the end be cleaned up, but that's a bit too costly for mine. Archangel Predator losing 2 players. It really doesn't give them much to work with for the rest of the game.
Yeah, and not the worst played either by Luxurious, getting 2 kills there in that situation. Thought Smell getting the first kill onto Nan gave them a sort of an avenue for then him to push in around the back and flank and get a kill from that, but not to be. And well, that was a must-win for Archangel Predator. If they lose that fight, it's not a way to finish off the day. Suddenly, yeah, you win it. You got your 4 points from those kills. You're into the top 4 temporarily, and at least, even if they don't, as a duo, even if they don't get much more from here, you've at least got a decent amount of points on the day. 26 from 5 isn't really all that bad. You're kind of keeping up the pace with that sort of middle of the standings. So not too bad in the end. We'll see what the duo can get for the remainder of the game as 777 getting picked up by Levi's inside of the smoke for the Expendables, who, well, of course, they were the talking point after 2 games on Erangel. Jordan taking out attack all around in Pachinki twice, and I feel like since then have not been able to see as much from them. And this is now Levi's down and 777 eliminated. So a disaster here for the final game of the night.
Yeah, sitting in 12th place as well. As you say, it's not really continued where it started, unfortunately, for the Expendables. In fact, maybe attack all around will have the last laugh as they're still looking pretty healthy in this game. They're already a point above the Expendables. Downham United also suffering some losses. So, actually, this is a fairly quick game of Miramar that we're seeing so far. Normally, you're not going to get as many engagements, and if you do, it might just be, you know, one player out kind of looting in a bit of a different spot or doing a bit of scouting on their own or something like that, getting caught off. But we're seeing a lot of actual proper fights happening right now.
Ted, I had an opportunity there to maybe get some more damage onto the expendables, but couldn't quite land those shots. NRX, team that's been in the mix. What a nade from Nam Zhao. Sapao knocked down by that nade. Now Maestro pushes out, gets close. Might be able to get another one as well. No, well played from Zest. He was the solo there, and of course still is. Nam Zhao with a nice angle, gets the headshot, forces out the first aid kit. Maybe a chance for Zesto to go for the revive, but no, Nam Zhao has just pushed straight forward and does not allow him to have even a moment's rest. Baonam United out in 15th position.
Not good at all. Has it been a good first day for this new look BN United roster? I don't think it's been a good day, but I also don't think it's been a bad day. I think it's acceptable. It's definitely a platform to build off, but they have not set the world on fire with this new roster. Let's just say that much. Daytrade, on the other hand, he didn't make too many roster changes. Belmont, the new addition to this team, but obviously a very experienced player. Did play on Sharper Esports back in PCS4 and 5. Replaced for Nautica. And it looks like it's been a recipe for success for Daytrade Gaming.
Only the duo for NRX, but they've already proven that they've got the capabilities of winning out here. But against 4 members of Daytrade, I am not so sure. Already the one elimination through Flash. Maestro, decent angle, landed a few shots and did get Nurin's low, but I mean, Daytrade just have the numbers, right? So they get the shots to land back the other way comfortably, and it's only Nam Zhao that's left for NRX. At least they've been able to pick up a few kills from this game, Jordan. 3 kills, gets them on 27 points to close out the day. I think they would have taken that to start the day, or to start really the tournament, so not a bad day from NRX.
Yeah, I think, you know, given that they're one of the newer teams to this level of competition, we don't really know a huge amount about them and probably didn't have super high expectations. To end on 27 points is a pretty reasonable total. They're not going to stay in 4th place. They will slip down a little bit, but that aside, I think that's a pretty good shout from NRX. They've done well. They can be happy and go back to the study and maybe come back tomorrow even stronger. We'll see what they can provide for us. But yeah, nice start to PCS6 for NRX and a decent one for BN United. Not so much the same can be said for Luxurious, who obviously also end their night, and they may potentially even end their night in last place depending on what Alter Ego and Magic can do in this game. It's not going to take much to overtake them.
Yeah, and all eyes on Unicorn Phoenix here, of course. So early on, even in this game, they have been the clear standouts, and it's the nature in which they're doing it. 38 kill points, 32 placement points. They have not finished below the top 2 at all tonight.
They'll be hoping that won't change either.
Yeah.
Zenjo is kind of sending it in their direction. Reb already in a really bad spot. He's taking shots from Dat Blue, Shinvi and Chu. Open up onto Kang and Reb and Unicorn Phoenix. It does not look like they're going to slow down too much. They do drop Shinvi though. And he's finished off by Lynxy. So a little bit of revenge here for Zenjo, as they do send their regards to Unicorn Phoenix, even though this might well result in a full wipe onto Zenjo. Chu's got no idea where Lynxy is.
Oh, no.
No way. Chu's actually going to get finished off by Glooms. Maybe there's still a way out here for Zenjo, as Kang will hope to get picked up by Steel. There's a smoke down. Chu was found out. Zenjo are actually making this work.
Yeah, not too bad, all things considered, when you take into account the start of this, and it looked like Unicorn Phoenix were just going to feast on yet another team, and suddenly they've not been able to feast at all. Only the 1 kill from that. They've lost 2 players for it as well. So Unicorn Phoenix, the little streak of top 2, might be coming to an end here, and that is to the happiness of every other team in this lobby. They need Unicorn Phoenix to start dropping points, and now. And I think they might be able to. They've still got the 2 players, and we saw what they did with 2 players in the last game of Miramar. As Alter Ego's a Ninja TP. I don't know if I'll go for that pronunciation again.
You might have cooked that one a little bit.
Do apologize. Levi's, though, sitting inside of the smoke. Does he just leave, or does he continue to go for this fight?
Well, to be fair, I think, you know, APAC might be one of the more difficult regions to pronounce names
I
from.
thought I did all right. Come on.
Anang TP, I think it might be.
Oh,
Might be a bit
true.
easier.
Yeah.
Well, either way, he is going to stick around to answer your question. We'll jump back over to Daytrade. Alter Ego actually bringing that rotation in as well. So the cavalry arriving is perhaps going to signal bad news for Levi's.
Well, the Expendables and Alter Ego. Bit of a strange kind of fight. Nothing too crazy about this position, unless they get something fortunate here for Phase 3. And, well, the answer is probably no. Good nade, though, from Levi's. Although, one back by 1, 2, 3, 4. So, at least 1 for 1. And Tede can actually just push forward in, timing a little bit off, and allows that player to just slip out the backside. That's Duck, but Duck, well, he cannot duck down in time. Tede, nice follow-through for Alter Ego, and they look quite comfortable here in this fight. The Expendables, well, basically their fortune since the first 2 rounds continue to just be downwards.
Yeah, not only that, but it also puts Luxurious Esports down into 15th place as Alter Ego able to overtake them. Just the extra kill point, perhaps. Made in Thailand have locked themselves into a compound quite comfortably. Archangel Predator trying to do as much as they can with just CJ and Algen bots to play with. To be fair, they do seem to be a team that can make a lot out of a little. And they've gotten a good knock there as well. That should be one that they can finish off onto Kidex. Niall, he doesn't look like he's having a particularly good time of trying to get that res.
Oh, Glooms. It feels like Attack All Around is taking on the entire lobby right now. But they haven't picked up a single kill. We've been seeing them get downs and get good tags as the Expendables go out, by the way. Jun is finished off by Himas, so they'll end the night on 16 points. But yeah, Attack All Around with this higher ground advantage. They are spread all around the map as well, over towards Hassi and San Martin. Niall, of course, as you said before, struggling a little bit to go for that reviving Kid X, and has kind of got himself caught in the action as well. And it looks like Glooms should be able to get the opening kill for Attack All Around. They've been peppering all over the entire map, and they are on the board here for our final game of the night.
What a nice little bit of moment of quiet. No shots ringing out. Daytrade happy to just continue to lock down this position, do some scouting. Perhaps not a whole lot happening around the map at the moment. 15 minutes into the game, only 41 alive. I'd say there's a lot of space to play with at the moment for the teams that do remain. No one's being forced to rotate just yet. 30 seconds left on that blue before it starts to move in. Archangel Predator, really the only team making any moves at the moment.
And they're just the duo as well. So, I mean, they've only got the 2 players alive, so they are kind of forced to move a little bit just based on the circle, which you get a bit of an overview here, and also in terms of which teams have been eliminated and sort of where everyone is. And you can kind of just see the gap between all of the teams right now quite extensive. Daytrade on the hill just outside of San Martin, but well, that's not really going to be a factor anymore because Magic Esport get a bit of a hard feed. They're at on 5 as well, decent spot. So north side of San Martin is where we go, and a lot of the teams already close by to this circle or inside of it. So I don't know if much is really going to change, other than the fact that those teams around San Martin obviously don't have that major city to sort of rest up in for the time being. Now they're going to get going.
Couple of taps there from Algen bots. What I like about Archangel Predator is they're not trying to do this quietly. You know, if they're going to go down, they're going to go down in a fight. They are letting everyone know exactly where they are. Maybe their bark is bigger than their bite with only a couple of players, but at least you will be aware that they're around. Daytrade also still looking to close their night out pretty well. And just touching on Unicorn Phoenix again for a moment, well, I was going to say have two players, but Caster Curse once again, Hungbo Ditch gets instantly knocked as I bring them up. Will be resable for Dat Blue by the looks of things.
Such is the nature of Miramar, though, right? Like, these knocks come out, but so safe for the revives a lot of the times. It's either some sort of cover or just generally going down. Now you're no longer in the sight lines of the shooter. As Daytrade, though, are actually pushing on this. So they got the knock. This allows them to just push up. Now, of course, it is only the duo for Unicorn Phoenix, but it's still a tough duo. Dat Blue did pretty well. Got Norrens down to 1 HP. Probably feels a little ripped off that he couldn't quite get that kill. But you've been having such a fabulous day today. You cannot complain with one game where things maybe don't go your way. As Team Bliss also rock up to this position. It's not a bad spot. Decent compound inside of this Phase 4 circle. Minute left till Phase 5. So Bliss holding on to the edge of it. Really no teams down towards the southeast looking into that Bliss situation, that Bliss area. So they can kind of hang outside a little bit for the time being.
Well, that Molotov's going to fall a bit short, and I guess the grenade from Trick will as well. These are really ambitious tosses. But Trick from Team Extraordinaire doesn't look like he might be surviving for too much longer. He's out in the open. He's trying to put some smokes down to give himself some room to work with. How providing the covering fire actually kind of has allowed that rotation to occur. Senyo's also lurking around, keeping an eye on things, looking for any points they can pick up. Where's the circle shift go? That's going to be the question on most people's lips. South for attack all around. North for Made in Thailand and Therathon 5. Or do we go a bit more central, favouring Magic Esport, who desperately needs some points out of today? Well, chances were it was going to at least favour Magic in some capacity, and that certainly does. Therathon 5 as well, going to be happy. That'll give them a good proving ground to play this remaining, 10, 15 minutes of the game out. But those teams here in this compound have a lot of work to do. Team Bliss, Unicorn Phoenix, Daytrade, all in a pretty awkward spot now that they're going to have to fight their way into the zone, past multiple teams.
Yeah, and you see Team Bliss move away. Of course, that compound no longer inside of the circle. And that's probably why you don't just send it in on Phase 4. Because you're not sure, is that really going to be a compound worth fighting for in the end? The answer is no. And by being patient and pulling up instead, they're able to get their answer without losing any players, without using utility, without forcing that confrontation. Now they can move away and think about, okay, what's next on the agenda? Where do we go to now? And it's not like they're walking wounded, so they're in a good headspace as well. As Alter Ego pushing in on this compound of Magic Esports. Now they're going to have to fight for it, right? You get the circle lock, you get the circle on you, but now you're going to get teams on you as well. And it's a big compound to cover. Tede goes down immediately. Nice angle from Petret, but doesn't land the initial tag. Does still have 2 nades, a couple of smokes, so could throw a nade through this window, go for a bounce here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Has to sort of move away from that one.
Slows down a little bit. Everyone just trying to get some heals off. Alter Ego kept at bay by the util for the foreseeable future. Attack all around are facing much the same kind of a situation where they're really in a bit of a tussle now. Trying to push their way forward. They have to come up from the southern side of the map, and they're dealing with Cerberus. We'll go back to the Magic fight. Magic Esports do seem to be getting the better of it as they've brought it down to just one remaining Alter Ego player, I think. Yeah, it is. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. And he has been able to spot out Petret, but chances of getting the flush are fairly slim when there's still 4 Magic Esports players alive. They need to clean it up quickly, though. Xenox Made in Thailand is on their way in.
Oh, they're already there. They are literally on top of them already. And a chance for Made in Thailand to clean up, get some points. No kills from them this game. With the fact that they've got 4 players alive, decent position now on this compound. It's, well, actually make it 3. Sorry, they've lost Rogue, but still 3 players alive. No kills. If they can clear out this compound, find a couple of kills, get inside of the top 8, could very well be a very strong finish to the night for Made in Thailand. Of course, they've been kind of the best of the rest, would maybe be the best label suited for them.
Yeah.
Not quite up there with Daytrade or Unicorn Phoenix, but just tiny little margin above everyone else. So, and a good position to capitalize here as we go into phase number 6. It does move away from them though slightly. Duck might spray. Well, there's going to be a down onto Jayers, so attack all around in a perilous position. And we did see Hungvo Ditch did finally go down. So only 1 kill point from Unicorn Phoenix to close out the night. And it does mean everyone else can catch up a little bit to close out night number 1. Haisaki sat down though by Gems, trade back by Himas. JQ and Gems standing in a 2 versus 3. Salolzi down by Gems, attack all around, bringing this one back into contention. Now a 2 versus 2. Lots of smokes are up, so vision hard to come by.
It's a 2-on-1 now. I think Himas the last one up here for Cerberus. It's getting a little bit worse for Wear, but Yanku getting a bit greedy for the flush. Might have given up his life there had Himas landed the shots. Won't be able to do so. Molotov going to go over the top. Again, Yanku just peeking up and over the ridge, and he gives that opportunity to Himas once again. It's down to Gems solo. 1-on-1. He needs to pick this one up quickly to get that res onto the last player of attack all around. Glooms was just picked up there, actually. In that, meanwhile, Yanku goes down. Glooms gets picked up, so it's kind of an exchange there, but Yanku's going to sacrifice his life for the fight victory. Gems, he is not giving any quarter to Himas right over the top, but inside of the zone. Oh, Himas, the 2-on-1. It's not going to keep him alive, but at least it will get Cerberus into 8th place. They get 1 more placement point out of it and 2 kills, so +3, you'll take it.
Yeah, 100% in that situation in a solo spot, but we move forward. Senjo, 5 kills. They've kind of gone off in the background. Of course, we saw Lynxy pick up some kills earlier on at the hands of Unicorn Phoenix. 2 kills now for Kang, still up with Steel. Insight in front of him, bit of an OCE on OCE, and it's the veteran Insight that goes and wins it against Kang. Steel, though, gets the trade, gets Insight down, so 1 for 1. And Kang might be in a position where he could get revived by his teammate. Bryn's gone, so he's now Team Bliss. Norins, this is the one that finds that kill for Daytrade. And Senjo are picking up some very valuable points to close out day number 1.
Yep. 6 of them on the board already this game. Up to 18. And that gets them quite squarely back into the middle of the pack as opposed to sitting down there in the bottom of the pack with the likes of Alter Ego and Luxurious. Magic Esport might be able to do the same. They've still got 4 players alive. Working hard in this game. There's a lot of teams around them trying to take control of their building. They're currently dueling with Made in Thailand. Senjo, though, might have eventually bitten off more than they can chew. Daytrade is sweeping through the southern side of the map, and it's just on to Kang, who, while he can get 1 down, is obviously not going to be able to finish off all 3. So that's the end of Senjo.
Kang. He's a good player. I mean, it's day 1 and whatnot, but coming into this environment and being able to perform the way he did for Senjo today, picked up quite a few kills. It looks a good one. No wonder they've... I just wonder where they found him, to be honest, over the last year or 2. So, well done for Senjo today. Picked up some very valuable points to close out the day. But now we move to Theraton 5. And this is where they've been for, I mean, the better part of, what, 4, 5 zones now, Jordan?
Oh, they're going to have to stick this res. Don't know what. He's hoping to get picked back on up, and Jacob does a great job of dealing with Cheeksing, which is going to put Magic on the back foot once again. Unfortunately for him, though, Theraton 5 have got an angle, and they're going to finish him off. So, at the end of the day, it's not all sunshine and roses for Made in Thailand. While they get the res, they lose a player for it.
Yeah, no kills yet either. So, a couple of points really have gone begging for them. Yes, you're getting your placement points, but they just weren't able to really clear out that building. Daytrade. Well, this is such a big game from them, Jordan. It has gone under the radar. 9 kills now. Only 10 points behind Unicorn Phoenix. Staggering to think when you take into account their first 4 matches today that Daytrade could end up in first. That is how good they too have also been. Make it now 10 kills for Daytrade. I mean, they had
unbelievable.
They had 2 wins today as well, but they haven't probably been as dominant as Unicorn Phoenix. CJ's down. Excrozit able to get the first one, and Pathamon gets the second one. So Archangel Predator are gone. Daytrade into the top 3.
I don't know about this one. Daytrade might actually be able to win the day, which I thought would have been unbelievable given the form that Unicorn Phoenix have been in. But if they somehow win this game, they could actually walk away with the top spot overall. That grenade is absolutely sick. That's disgusting. And Made in Thailand are done. So it's Daytrade and Theraton 5. Well, this will be a difficult situation to win from for Daytrade, to be fair.
Is it? I don't know. I kind of almost back them in a little bit, to be honest, the way
Well,
they've been playing
3-on-4.
today. 3-on-4 plus position compound. Yeah, I get you, but and more so just speaking to the fact as to how good Daytrade have been today. And look, honestly, full credit for Theraton 5 as well. They're in this position now, top 4. They can really finish this one off in a good fashion. They had a very good game 3. Because they have been quite outside of that game 3. They finished third with 13 kills. And while they're not going to match it in this game, something quite similar. So 2 very, very good games from Theraton 5 today. The other games, a little bit hit and miss, but that's fine. Overall, for the entire day, they've been able to do enough to finish top 5. I think that's a big, big tick for them, as Puchils is down, but a safe revive from Dorans. The biggest trouble now for Daytrade is how do they get close to this compound? If they can get all 3 players somewhat close, they can win this game. But it's getting there with all 3 players alive. That's the problem.
1 smoke on at least the last 2 members that I saw. I think they've got 2 smokes left between them. So they're not even going to make a wall of smokes with what they've got remaining. I was going to say, when I saw that circle shift come through, if there wasn't confirmation already, I think the circle shift, keeping Theraton 5 able to play inside of the compound and Daytrade having to move forward, pretty much locking it in. I mean, I don't believe it's 50-50. Theraton 5, 52%. That's a lie. This should be like 75, 80%, maybe 90% in my eyes. How does Daytrade win from here? Surely not possible.
I mean, we've seen plenty of crazy finishes throughout our time.
It's updating. It's
as
updating
long as
live.
they've heard you, they've absolutely heard you. I think the biggest thing right now for Daytrade is the lack of utility, the positioning, all those things. I think if you had a fair 3v4 fight, you'd still give them a chance just because of how talented these guys are, the day they've been having today. And honestly, this might be the smart thing. This actually might be the smart thing. To just say, all right, it's too much of a stretch. We don't have the smokes. We don't have the utility. We're too far away. They've got the position. They've got the numbers. It is really not likely. Theraton 5 will take the win. Yes, it's not the most exciting finish, but hey, I don't think they would care one bit. What a way for them to finish off the day here for day 1 of PCS6 APAC.
Yeah, definitely a good day for Theraton 5. Maybe not the best of days. Obviously, that's going to go the way of Unicorn Phoenix, but not everyone can get 70+ points in one day. Daytrade doing really, really well for themselves as well. But obviously for Theraton 5, they had that 3rd place with 13 kills in round number 3. We kind of got a bit of an idea of what they could bring to the table, and they've now backed that up with a win in game 5 as well. So pretty good, solid day from them. A lot of teams which have had a good, solid day today, but it is only day 1 out of 6 days. So still got a lot of pieces of the puzzle to put into place, and have to wait and see how the rest of the competition does play out. I think, it was a good, solid day to start things off, though. I'm quite happy with what we got. We had some really fun games. We had some hot drops on Orangle. Going to see whether or not that gets to continue tomorrow. Miramar seemed to play out a little bit more standard, so we kind of got the best of both worlds, really, when it comes to PUBG today. And good start to PCS for the year, I think.
I think there's probably some people out there that are wondering why Daytrade maybe didn't go for that one, but yeah, they were very much backs up against the wall, deny the points from Theraton 5, who have essentially moved up into 3rd, right? So if you're in 2nd, the team in 3rd, and you probably can't beat them, you'd just be feeding them 3 points. You may as well just go down to the blue. So smart play. Obviously, we like those fancy finishes where you really do push for it. But for Daytrade, it's day 1, Jordan, right? So taking into account the fact that it's day 1, 5 points behind Unicorn Phoenix. Yes, if they had a push forward and got the miraculous win, they would have finished today in 1st. But 5 points is not that bad of a deficit. It's basically nothing, right? So at the end of the day, they play the smart approach. They deny the team in 3rd, and they have themselves a very comfortable 2nd place to close out day 1. And even just, I've got the leaderboard updated courtesy of the old Liquipedia, but it's such an even lobby. I mean, even the bottom 3 had decent moments at some point today, and I think on a maybe a better day could have picked up more points. And that's what we like to see from the APAC region, is that open spread, especially towards the midfield. Yes, we've still got a bit of a top 2, like the old days gone by here in APAC, but it's really nice to be seeing all these new faces, all these new teams, and yet the quality still seems as good as ever.
Yeah, someone had to be the top 2, didn't it? It seems like that was fated, right? Every single season we've been talking about, usually 1 or 2 teams to run away with things for APAC at least, and maybe that's going to be the case again this season.
Yeah.
The only teams that I'd really be super concerned about are those ones that are sitting right toward the bottom of the scoreboard. We'll touch on that in a second. Player of the match for that one was Ranger X from Theraton 5. 3 kills, 205 damage. Wasn't the most difficult of games, to be fair, for Therathon 5. He got 50% of the team's kills, though, so did a pretty good job of it. But 6 kills, first place, you know, not a massive game, but it is enough to get them up into 3rd place, which is definitely a good solid effort. The leaderboard from that last game, though, favoring Daytrade just slightly. They got a bunch of kills out of it, and while they got eliminated a little bit earlier on than Peace, we saw from game number 1 with Archangel Predator, sometimes the kills are a little more important than the placement points in this new/old format as we, you know, do away with the winner-winner chicken dinner format and bring back Super.
Desperately needed those points because I think it would have been somewhat disappointing for the end of the night if Archangel Predator hadn't finished strong. You know, you think back to round number 1, they had 17 kills. And then it's like 14th, 14th, 12th with basically nothing. So good way for them to finish the night. Does get them into the top 5. Of course, it's only day 1. We've got another 25 matches for the rest of this stage. So while we kind of look at this leaderboard, we soak it in and we think about how things are maybe going to shape out. The thing is, we have absolutely no idea. It's only day 1. Who knows? We come back tomorrow, maybe Unicorn Phoenix just have a dud kind of day and Daytrade run away with things. Or maybe both of them do. And it's like, you know, made in Thailand and Archangel Predator. So we're still early days, but the things that we can take away from it, Jordan, right? And I think the biggest one is Unicorn Phoenix bringing it again after what we saw from them in PCS5, while they have returned in PCS6 with a vengeance. They've picked up where they've left off. The other one, we maybe started the day without realizing it. We spoke a lot about Daytrade because they're the only team that's played every PCS APAC event, and they absolutely lived up to the hype.
Yeah, they did. They certainly did. I mean, this is probably the best I've seen Daytrade look, to be honest with you, Xenox. Like, in a APAC event, obviously, domestically speaking, notwithstanding. But as far as PCS APAC is concerned, this has to surely be the best start for Daytrade we've ever seen. You know, and touching on your point of maybe saying, look, let's wait and see what we're going to get from day 2 and 3 when it comes to Unicorn Phoenix and Daytrade. Well, at least as far as Unicorn Phoenix is concerned, I think they're keeping up their very, very consistent run of things in PCS. You know, you think about how close to dominant they were in PCS5. They're coming into PCS6 and looking pretty good. There's no reason to expect that they're going to slow down at this point in time. They seem to be the form team at the moment within the region. A few teams that I kind of want to see a little bit more from. I think BN United definitely have a good-looking roster on paper that didn't really get activated today. Attack all around, obviously having a few troubles on Erangel, but weren't even really able to convert a huge amount on Miramar either. So to me, those are probably 2 teams that I'm really looking to sort of see step up. Cerberus was also pretty up and down tonight, as has generally been the case for them in PCS APAC events, but because of their tenure, because of their experience, I want to see them do a little bit better. And Archangel Predator as well, outside of one really good game, didn't really seem to bring a whole lot to the table today. So I don't think that's their normal style either. I think they're normally one of those teams that's a little bit more of a consistent force rather than like a big game kind of team. So I'd like to see a bit more in that kind of the direction for Archangel Predator tomorrow as well.
So many talking points, so many storylines, of course, a lot to get through. Fortunately, we've got so many more days here for PCS6 APAC. That's us done, though, for today in terms of day 1. We'll be back again tomorrow for day 2.
I'm like a dog, I do the muscle, get off on my leash, yeah. I am a beast, looking for something to eat, yeah. I cannot be defeated, I could take off, I don't need a reason. Anyone that see me sweating, bleeding, I'm about to take off, yeah, believe it, yeah, believe it.